Damn, sooner or later, I'm gonna have a goddamn pre-die mixtape, though.
Damn, chick, you doing another song for pre-die?
I can't deny her, though. She's my bestie. She's my bestie. That's my bestie. Your pair of eyes had me paralyzed. Toxic nigga, but you made me to a better girl. Smoke, but with you on forever, ever high. Can watch you all day, girl, like you televised. You think like this nigga, they ain't never lied. I lived the beaches alone, I had to pick a side. Look in your eyes, girl, you were hypnotized. Of course, it was your breasts, hips, and them damn thighs. Close my eyes, I'm still mesmerized. To get mad at my bestie, I tried. That's my bestie. My pretty.
I heard she's the one. She's got it going on. That's my pretty eyes, baby. Yeah, yeah. She don't take no mess. My bestie is the best. That's my pretty eyes, baby. Yeah, yeah. I heard she's the one. She's got it going on. That's my pretty eyes, baby.
Hey, what's up? So I'm here for day 10. Finished Brian Albert's testimony. Hold on just one moment. I'm doing something. But anyways, I hope that everybody had a blessed day. Let's see. Hey, Trey. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to get started and watch day 10 of the trial with Brian Albert on the stand. So let me.
Just watch that one. Two songs on the other side recorded during the case. They are here to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. I do. Thank you. You take the stand.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Albert. This is not. This process is not the first time you've testified in a court of law, is it?
No.
In fact, you were a police officer for either just under or just over 30 years. Is that right?
Yes.
During that time, how many times would you say you testified in a court of law in any capacity?
I would say 100, perhaps.
So you consider yourself to be an experienced witness?
In what aspect? In as far as being a witness as a police officer?
You've experienced testifying in a courtroom?
Yes.
Okay, so you understand the oath?
Yes.
You understand the gravity of perjury?
Yes.
When was the last time you spoke to Mr. Lally before Friday when you began testifying?
Before Friday, the last time I spoke to Mr. Lally was, I believe, on a conference call around the time of my grand jury testimony.
Which would have been 2022?
Yes.
April of 2022?
Yes.
So you've not spoken with Mr. Lally since that time?
I don't remember speaking with Mr. Lally since that time, no.
What about anybody else from the district attorney's office?
No.
Have you gone over the facts or what you believe to be the facts of your testimony with anybody before you testified on Friday, not including any lawyer that you may have?
No.
Did you discuss any questions that you may be asked on direct examination or questions that you may be posed on cross-examination with any member of the district attorney's office?
No.
Were you told about any exhibits or documents that you might be shown?
That's weird.
Just in the prep, I believe I was shown a video of the waterfall bar.
And that was back in April of 2022?
Because all witnesses get prepped.
No, that was for the prep for this trial.
With whom did you prep?
I prepped Mr. Lally.
I'm confused. I thought you said you had not spoken with Mr. Lally since April of 2022.
Except for the prep for this trial, I had not.
Okay.
Well, why didn't you say
Okay,
that?
I misunderstood your
dude?
question. I apologize.
Did you prep for this trial with Mr. Lally?
Yes.
When?
Approximately a few weeks ago.
Okay. Mr. Albert, about 45 seconds ago, I asked you, have you spoken with Mr. Lally before your testimony in this process, this proceeding? And your answer was, no, I have not. Did you not understand my question?
I did not.
Oh my God.
I was expecting you to ask if I had prepped with Mr. Lally. I didn't hear prep with Mr. Lally, so I didn't know what you were referring to.
Oh my
I said, spoken
God.
with Mr. Lally. It's since I didn't say prep with Mr. Lally, your answer was no, I didn't speak with him. I just prepped with him.
Yes.
I forgot it was a shit show from start.
What's the difference between speaking and prepping?
No, there is no difference. I just misunderstood your question. That's all.
Tell me about that prep with Mr. Lally.
Sure. I prepped with Mr. Lally about this trial with Mr. Lally, my attorney.
Where did that preparation take place?
The preparation took place, I believe, I'm trying to remember exactly where it was. I actually don't recall where it was.
Would it have been at the DA's office?
Yes, but it wasn't at the DA's office. No, I believe it was somewhere else, but I can't remember if it was here at the DA's office. I'm not sure.
I also asked you a couple minutes ago, did you review any documents or any evidence in preparation for your testimony? And to that question, you also answered no.
What? I said I reviewed the video.
Well, now you're saying you reviewed a video, but when I
Yes.
asked you, did you see any
Right.
evidence or documents, anything in preparation for your testimony? You said no, correct?
No, I believe I said I saw a video.
Did you understand? Did you misunderstand my question when I asked it the first time as well?
No.
Okay. I'm going to try to be clearer with my questions.
Okay.
Let me try it again. What, if anything, have you reviewed
What
in
if anything?
anticipation of your testimony in this trial?
So I reviewed a video of the waterfall.
Anything else?
I reviewed my transcript from the grand jury.
So you have reviewed your prior testimony,
My transcript of the grand jury, yes.
which is prior testimony, correct?
Yes.
When did you do that?
I did that during the prep.
What part of the waterfall video did Mr. Lally show you?
It was a small snippet of the video and just one of the 20 seconds of video during that night.
Which part? There's a lot of video there. Which part, if you can tell us, which part did you review with Mr. Lally?
It just showed the waterfall. It showed patrons. It showed myself and the other people I was with.
What were you doing in that 20-second snippet of that video?
I believe in one portion of it, I was fooling around with Brian Higgins.
Fooling around.
Yes.
Fooling around? Now
It means we were
it's
just fooling around. That's it.
Fooling around like arm wrestling?
No, I don't think we were arm wrestling. I think we were just pushing each other, fooling around.
Oh, so play fight.
I don't think I would call it play fighting. No, I was just,
Remember seeing part of the video where you took a fighting stance or like this?
I actually don't remember that part. No,
Remember part of the video where Brian Higgins took a fighting stance sort of like this?
maybe, yes.
So you approached one another,
I don't think I saw that whole video. No,
practicing fighting techniques?
I wouldn't call it that.
You
No,
can have that. I'm sorry, what was your answer to that, Mr. Albert?
no.
So what you reviewed with Mr. Lally was the portion of the video where you and Mr. Higgins were somehow fooling around. And well, how would you describe it? If it's not fighting techniques, how would you describe it?
Just joking, being silly, just fooling around.
All right, scratch off.
Doing what physically?
They were just,
Doing,
well,
if
his
you rephrase-
mother-in-law calls it grab ass.
Right.
Were you just joking with words like a stand-up comedian, or were you doing something physically?
No, I think we were
We were
pushing
just
each other, fooling
grab
around,
ass.
joking.
Did you ever show him how to throw a punch?
Did I what?
Did you show him how you would throw a punch?
I don't remember that. No,
Did you squat down, show him how you want to get low? And you're either aggressive or defending an aggression?
I don't remember that exact pose. No,
Did he walk over to you and grab you and act like he was going to drive a knee into your stomach?
I'm not sure.
At some point, did you flip him around, grab him in a wrestling hold?
I may have. I just don't remember it exactly.
Do these things sound familiar when you reviewed as to your review of the video that you saw with Mr. Lally?
No, I didn't see all those on the video, Mr. Lally.
Did you discuss with Mr. Lally the questions that you might be asked by him on direct examination? Did he go through, here are the topics of conversation we're going to have?
No, not like that.
Did he go over with you what he believed the topics of conversation might be on cross-examination by either myself or Mr. Unetti?
I believe so. Yes.
What did he tell you you might be asked?
I don't remember exactly what he told me. He said we could be asked about the night at the waterfall. We could be asked about back at the house, things like that.
Anything else?
Not that I can remember.
Is there anything, given your conversation with Mr. Lally, is there anything that you want to change about the testimony that you previously gave under oath in April of 2022?
No,
The fact that you now reviewed that testimony?
no,
You stick by that testimony?
yes,
Have you watched any of these proceedings on any platform before your testimony?
no,
Never tuned in to anything that's live streaming, any of the media coverage?
no,
You're aware that your wife testified before you.
yes,
Did you just, I don't want to know what the words were. Did you discuss her testimony with her before you testified?
no,
So she came home after testifying in this trial, and you two never brought it up.
Lies.
no. I just asked her how she was doing, and that was it.
Mr. Albert, are you close friends with Brian Higgins?
I wouldn't describe it as close friends. No.
He's a fellow law enforcement officer, correct?
Yes,
Works for the ATF?
he does.
The Department
Oh,
of
he's
Bureau
not
of Alcohol,
close
Tobacco,
friends.
Firearms,
So
and
you're
Explosives,
you'll
correct?
throw,
Yes.
so you're not close friends. So maybe you'll throw him under the bus. Maybe this trial, maybe because he's not in the circle of trust. Maybe just to get your ass out of fucking Dodge.
You know Mr. Higgins.
I think I first met Mr. Higgins about 15 years ago.
How did you meet him?
It was a professional something at work. We may have worked together. I think at the time he was a Cambridge arson squad member, and I think he came into the city of Boston to do something for work.
So you've known him for 15 years, and you were with him on January 28th, 2022, correct?
Yes,
And he's the person that you were, quote, joking and fooling around with, right?
yes,
You know him pretty well enough to joke and
You had a
fool
long road
around
trip
with
with Mr.
him.
Higgins on January 28th, 2022, didn't you?
What's the question?
You had a long road trip with Mr. Higgins on January 28th, 2022, correct?
We drove from New York to Boston, yes.
It's a pretty good drive, you'd say?
Yes.
Consider that a road trip?
Yes.
How long?
I don't know if it was probably somewhere around 4 hours, maybe.
Once you got back from New York to back up to Boston,
Yes.
Boston area, the two of you stopped at a location, correct?
Yes.
What was the location?
The hillside.
And what did you two do at the hillside?
We went into the hillside, had a drink, talked, and I think Brian may have ordered food.
So once you got back from that relatively long road trip, that 4 hour long road trip, I apologize, you stopped at a bar and started drinking, correct?
Yes.
Do you have anything to eat at the hillside?
I did not.
But Brian did. Brian Higgins did.
I left prior to Brian Higgins eating.
During the course of that road
Wow,
trip,
you were drinking all
Or the
night and
hillside.
didn't have anything
Did
to
the two of you
eat,
discuss
man. You
Karen
must
Read,
have
my
been
client?
blacked
No.
out.
did her name ever come up?
No.
Without telling me anything that he may have actually said, did he mention Karen Read or the topic of Karen Read?
No, never.
Did he mention the fact that he'd been texting and flirting with Karen Read 2 weeks prior?
No.
So that
Oh, I
subject,
think
according
he
to you,
did.
was
I
never
think
addressed
he
or broached
did.
by Mr. Higgins or you
No.
during that entire day.
No.
After you arrived at the waterfall, John O'Keefe arrived subsequent thereto, right?
Yes.
How long after?
Approximately 45 minutes, maybe?
And Karen Read was with him, is that right?
Yes.
Brian Higgins was standing right next to you when she came in along with John O'Keefe, correct?
I'm not sure where people were standing when they arrived.
Well, you remember you saw video, correct?
I don't believe there's any, I saw video of them walking into the waterfall now.
Fair enough, but you saw at least a clip, according to you, you saw a clip of that video of you at the waterfall, correct?
Yes.
You were situated at a high top table, right?
Yes.
Your back is sort of to the camera, is that right?
I'm not sure of the camera angles. The video that I saw, I was at the high top table, but I'm not sure of all the camera angles of the waterfall.
Brian Higgins is the guy with the sweatshirt, maybe a Harley Davidson.
Maybe they were fighting over. Maybe he got.
I'm not sure what he wore that night. I'm sure he had a sweatshirt on, but I don't know what the emblem was.
He was standing right next to you in the video clip that you saw.
Yes.
In other words, that was the video where he was standing right next to you. You two turned to each other and start this play fighting thing.
Yes.
So if it's that time or sometime around there at the high top, you were in proximity of Brian Higgins when Karen Read and John O'Keefe came into the bar, correct?
I just don't recall the timing of when they came into the bar.
All right, Mr. Albert, did Mr. Higgins say anything to you at
You
that
guys
time?
were sitting
about
right
John
next to
O'Keefe
each
arriving
other the whole
with Karen
night.
Read at his side?
What
No.
the?
Did Mr. Higgins say anything to you about being upset that Karen Read had shown up with John O'Keefe?
No.
Describe your relationship with John O'Keefe, if you would.
So I didn't know John that well. I had only met him a few times,
That's
but every
why
time I
he
met him, it
kicked
was
his
cordial,
ass, huh?
pleasant, and I would consider him to be a
He just
coworker,
asked
even though I
what
never really
did
worked with
I?
him directly. He seemed like a nice guy. I knew his whole story about the fact that he had taken his niece and nephew after a tragedy in the family, and I had an unbelievable amount of respect for him doing that. But I can't say that we were good
See,
friends
you
because I didn't really know him all that
See,
well.
that's what
You
you
thought
guys
that was
do
Brian
is
Higgins
you bring up the story of him adopting his niece and nephew to try to distance yourself from doing something wrong, from possibly doing a man thing, and your egos took over, and you ended up fighting. He ended up losing his life, and now you're trying to pin it on somebody that wasn't even there. But you all were there. She wasn't. She was at home.
John O'Keefe, that's fair to say.
Yes.
On Friday, you were asked whether or not you knew my client, Karen Read, correct? This meeting a couple days ago during your direct examination.
I believe so, yes.
You were also asked the same series of questions at another grand jury not involving the Commonwealth. Remember that in June of 2023?
Yes.
I want to be clear about this other
Lots
hearing.
of grand juries.
That was a
there,
non-Commonwealth
man.
hearing in front of the grand
feds
jury, correct?
even
Yes.
put you on a
Mr.
grand
Lally
jury.
and his colleagues were not there, is that right?
Yes.
I was not there, Mr. Yannetti was not there.
Yes.
Or Miss Little.
Right.
At that June 2023, and I'm going to talk about a couple of dates, so I don't want to be confusing. At that June 2023 non-Commonwealth hearing, you were asked some questions about whether or not you knew Karen Read before January 28th, 2022.
I believe so.
Same question.
I believe so, yes.
And you testified, before you testified, you were sworn an oath.
Yes.
Same oath that you swore in this trial, correct?
Yes.
Swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And you knew that you were testifying under penalty of perjury in that hearing as well, correct?
Yes.
And you testified at that non-Commonwealth grand jury that you, quote, believe Karen was with John the night he came into Hillside. A female that looked similar to Karen from the waterfall came in with him on that night. And I assume that was her, but I can't say for sure, end quote. That was your testimony before that grand jury.
Yes.
But you were also asked a similar question in April of 2022 by Mr. Lally at his grand jury. You remember that?
No.
Let's start at the beginning. Before you testified in the April 2022 grand jury, more than a year earlier, And just 3 months after this incident, you were sworn an oath, correct?
Yes.
Same oath that you took in June of 2023, right?
Yes.
And the same oath you took on Friday.
Yes.
Isn't it true that you were asked the question whether or not you knew Karen Read on January 28th, 2022, and you testified, quote, "I've never met or seen her before," end quote?
No, I don't recall that.
Didn't you indicate that you just testified, I'm sorry, that you reviewed your grand jury testimony in anticipation for this trial?
Yes.
You read the whole thing,
Yes.
and you don't recall making that statement?
No.
Show him a statement.
Yeah, Coach John.
Do it.
Yes, and I'll see Counselor Tybar when you leave that with the
Do it.
witness.
Oh my God, come on. Why sidebar? This is
Sure.
bullshit. He's impeaching the witness. Let him do it. Let him do it.
You didn't read the whole quote though.
Right. The whole quote is the following.
You didn't read the whole quote.
Coach John.
Wow.
Mr. Albert, you had an opportunity to review that?
I have. Thank you.
Hey, Ivo. How are you?
Does that refresh your recollection as to what you said before the grand jury in April of 2022?
Yes, but you didn't read the whole quote though.
Right. The whole quote is the following. Question. So the female you had never met before, is that fair to say? Answer. No, I've never met her or seen her before, period. Maybe once, but I don't think I've ever had a conversation with her. That was the entire quote, correct?
That's the entire quote. Yes, that's not what you read earlier, but yes.
Well, what I read earlier was, I've never met or seen her before. Those words came out of your mouth.
Still the same.
That's not my
fucking
whole
thing.
sentence. No.
You said
Like,
I've never met or seen her
either you
before.
met her
And
or
you
you
said
didn't
maybe
meet
once, but I've never had a conversation with her. I don't think.
Right. Yes, that's my sentence.
What does
So
it
which is
matter?
Mr. Albert? What were you saying? Were you saying you met her and had a conversation with her? Or were you saying I've never met or seen her before?
Thank
Which one of
you.
those two things
Yes.
is true?
I was saying that I met her maybe once.
Actually, what you said was, I've never met her or seen her before. Your words, not my words, sir. Isn't that right?
No, because in the
And
next
then you
sentence I say
changed
I
it.
met her maybe once.
So you
And then
literally
you
changed your
changed
testimony
it.
within your own
In
testimony.
mid-sentence.
No, can you answer that, Mr. Albert?
I believe I qualified my first
I'm
sentence with his
good.
second sentence.
So what changed between the first sentence, where you indicated unequivocally, I've never met or seen her before, and the second sentence when you said, maybe once?
This
I'm not
is
sure
gonna
what I
be
was
a
thinking at the time that I
bullshit
said
show
that.
next
Isn't it true,
when it starts.
Mr. Albert, not only had you met Miss Reed, but you had spent several hours with Karen Reed and John O'Keefe 6 days before this incident. Isn't that true?
No.
In fact, on January 22nd, 2022, 6 days before January 28th, you socialized with Karen Reed at the Hillside Bar for several hours, didn't you?
I was at the Hillside Bar the week prior. Yes.
It was a Saturday night, correct?
Yes.
You were at the bar.
Yes.
There were several other folks at the bar, correct?
Several people. Yes.
That included Chris Albert, your brother,
Yes.
a guy named Tim Daly,
Yes.
D-A-I-L-Y, is that right?
I'm not sure how to spell his last name.
Julie Albert was there.
Yes.
Jen McCabe was there.
Yes.
Matt McCabe was there.
Yes.
John O'Keefe was there.
Yes, he was.
And Karen Reed was there, correct?
Yes, she was.
Then obviously
In fact-
you met her or seen her. Lying fucker.
Yes.
I'd like you to take a look at a photograph. Just look at that to yourself for a second. Tell me if you familiarize yourself with it and then look up when you're ready.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Actually, I don't need to. Mr. Albert, you can stay there. Do you recognize the photograph that's before you?
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
Well, I recognize the people within the photograph, and the background of the photograph looks like the hillside.
Does that appear to be a photograph that was taken on January 22nd, 2022?
Yes.
You were at the Hillside Bar?
Yes.
May I publish this, Your Honor?
Okay. Is it already in evidence, or
It
you?
is not, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
So you put it in evidence first, and then you
May
publish
I
it.
have that marked as next in order?
Yes.
And then
Exhibit 67.
Thank you.
Is it the one where it's all four of them together?
permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. You see that photograph? It's the same photograph that you're looking at in front of you?
Yes.
Describe who the people are going from left to right, sir.
Chris Albert, myself, John O'Keefe, and Tim Daly.
And this was on January 22nd, 2022, at about 11 p.m., correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Coach Honor.
Yes.
Mr. Albert, who took the photo?
Karen Reed.
I don't know.
Karen Reed took the photo, didn't she?
I have no idea who took that photo.
Karen Reed took the photo. You're literally staring right at her, correct?
I don't know who took the photo.
Well, who else do you think you could be?
Oh
There
my
were a lot of people there. You
God.
mentioned my
That's
sister, two sister-in-laws, a brother-in-law.
dumb.
I'm not sure.
Yes,
Can
I'm
you turn the
ready.
lights
I'm
back on,
ready
please,
for
and
this
take the
damn
photo down?
trial to start. I'm ready. Ready.
Did you ever see this photo from Jim McCabe?
No.
It's going to be a
from
bullshit
Julie
show,
Albert?
and I'm ready to
No.
watch it.
Chris Albert didn't take it. He's in it.
Right.
Tim didn't take it. He's in
It's going
it.
to be
Right.
defense
You obviously
against
didn't take it.
defense.
Right.
And who's the guy on the far right?
Tim.
That was Tim. Who's the guy next to Tim?
Yeah.
Sean.
So who do you think?
Do you still need the photo up? I'm sorry, I thought you were done with it.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was John. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I don't even
Now you
Okay.
act like you can't recognize him,
So given the
motherfucker.
fact that you were never shown that, you've never seen that photo before today, right?
I saw a photo that was sent to me in Discovery or to my attorney that showed only, I believe, me and John in the picture. I think it's the same photo, only that's blown up to
Oh
show
yeah,
everybody.
because you have an attorney because you got to be protected for some reason or another.
Who was there?
Well, you're only a witness in this case. Why do you need a fucking lawyer?
Photo, sir.
I have no idea who took the photo.
Could have been Karen Read.
Objection.
Sustained. Let's move along from
In
that,
fact,
please.
you were interacting with Karen Read and John O'Keefe throughout that evening, correct?
I remember having conversations with John that evening. I don't necessarily remember speaking to Karen that evening.
Irrespective of whether or not you spoke to her, you obviously saw her there.
Yes.
You were there with her for a couple of hours.
Well, I wasn't there with her for a few hours. I was there with other people.
Okay. So without splitting words,
You were all together, dude. It doesn't matter
Yes.
whether you
John
were
was
with
there.
her or,
Socializing
you
with
know,
John.
she was
Yes.
still there.
She's right
You were
next to him.
there. You're still kind of with her.
Sometimes, perhaps not.
Even
Maybe all
though
the times I was
you didn't
talking
go
to him.
with
No.
her.
So you were socializing not exclusively with her.
It's-
Right.
You were
I love how he
socializing with her
tried.
6 days before John O'Keefe ended up dead on your
He
lawn,
makes
correct?
sure he doesn't end up.
We were there at the same time. Yes.
And yet, when you were asked 3 months later, do you know Karen Read or how do you know Karen Read? The
Lally.
actual question
Please
was,
save
to a
me,
female
Lally.
you've never met before. Is that fair to say? That was Mr. Lally's question. And your immediate response was, no, I've never met her or seen her before. Correct? That's what you said.
That's not my whole response. No.
That's what you said immediately upon that question, sir.
That's the beginning of my response. Yes.
That was the first sentence out of your mouth.
Yes.
Facts.
You also testified at the subsequent grand jury in June of 2023. When asked what was your impression of Miss Reed, you said, quote, I honestly didn't really have one. I didn't have any conversation with her. I just kind of saw her from across the table. I didn't really
No,
think
he
of it either
just
way.
seen her as a
Correct.
scapegoat. That's all.
I don't know what that question is referring to. Is that for the waterfall or is that for Hillside?
Bitch.
Okay. Yes.
All right. So in June of 23, a little over a year later,
Get off him.
your testimony significantly changed from no, I've never met or seen her before to I really didn't have a conversation with her.
Leave him alone.
I saw her across the table. I didn't really think of it either way. Correct?
No, I think those are very similar testimonies.
Leave him alone.
When you were asked
Go.
in the other proceeding, and this is about the waterfall,
Go.
question,
Oh
did
my
you talk to
God.
Karen Read at the waterfall that night? You answered unequivocally, I did not. Is that right?
Yes.
Not a female. He's a male.
And that's what you
Leave him
told
alone.
the June grand jury.
You
June
mean
of 23,
smoke?
correct?
I always smoke every day.
Are
Oh,
you
have I
referring to
gone
the
out
state
to smoke
grand jury?
today? No.
Okay.
That's why I'm using dates. I'm trying to be careful.
Right.
April,
I'm just not clear on what all the dates were.
I'll see if I can clarify.
But I don't
April
smoke weed.
2022,
I wish I
state
did,
grand jury.
but I don't.
June of 2023, a different grand jury.
Because this
You were asked
whole
at the June
trial
of
thing would
2023
take on a
grand
whole
jury.
new thing.
Did you ever talk
I
to Karen
was
Read at the
smoking
waterfall
weed
that night?
and
Your answer was, I did not.
Yeah. Yes.
With the court's permission, can I play a small clip from Exhibit 53?
Okay.
Starting at timestamp 11:53 and 15 seconds.
Oh man, I gotta move
Direct your
the
attention, sir.
pigeon
to the upper
thing.
right-hand corner.
There's his little boyfriend. Oh, my little boyfriend. Oh, it looks like he's talking to her. It looks like he's talking to her. What's he talking to her for?
Do you recognize the individuals in this clip?
Yes.
But he never talked to her. Hold
Do you
on.
recognize
That's her.
Yes, I
That's
believe that's me.
him. And he's looking right at her.
I do. I believe that's the defendant.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
What does it appear you are doing as it relates to Ms. Reed?
Talking to her.
It appears that I'm talking at the table. I don't know if it's specifically to her, but
You're looking right at her. You. Oh my God, you fucking douchebag loving motherfucker.
Stop. Did you see the part of the clip starting at 11:53 and 15 seconds, going back about 30 seconds?
yes.
Who did it appear you were talking directly to, and who did it appear was answering directly to you?
I
Karen
looked like I
Read.
was speaking, but I can't say for sure that I was directly talking to the defendant.
Even though it looked like you were looking right at her and leaning toward her.
Exactly.
I was definitely looking that way. I don't remember the
Let's
conversation.
go.
The reality is, let me take that down. The reality is, Mr. Albert, you had many conversations with her throughout the night, like you would with anybody else you were socializing, correct?
No.
It's not like you ignored her through that evening.
Yeah, I wouldn't
No,
be
I
doing all
think
that,
that just the
but-
positioning of me on the other side of the table, I didn't have really much contact.
There was only one person doing you, and that was
You
Ms.
didn't
Bates.
have much.
No, I don't think that
contact
was the
with
setup for the whole night.
I didn't say the whole thing.
Right.
I'm talking about right then.
her. Oh my God.
Right. So
That's an example.
Quit.
Right. What's your question? Rephrase your question,
Did
please.
you or did you not have conversations with Karen Read that night?
I do not recall having conversations with Karen.
You did. You did. Video shows you did, bud.
I read that night at all. No.
And that's what you told the grand jury under oath, notwithstanding this video evidence to the contrary.
Yes, I don't think that video shows that.
I'm going to let that stand. Next question, please.
Leave that to the jury. Jury, do you believe? I don't. And I'm an I don't know the shit.
You were interviewed by Michael Proctor on January 29th, the day after this incident, correct?
Yes.
And that was 6 days after you spent several hours, Karen Read, at this event,
But
correct?
never talked to her. Fuck
6
that.
days later.
Yes.
Why would you invite people to your house if you never fucking talked to her? That is dumb as fuck. I would never invite a fucking stranger to my fucking house. And you're a fucking cop. Yeah, like you're gonna let people invade your fucking privacy like that. Give me a break. Even though you are a dirtbag fucking cop. Because there are good cops, and you give good cops a bad fucking name, you son of a bitch.
You were asked by Michael Proctor whether or not you knew or what your relationship was with Karen Read, correct?
I don't recall if he asked me that.
Did you say to Michael Proctor, quote, that you quote, did not know Karen Read, end quote?
I may have. Yes.
But when you made that
Because I
statement, you
don't
did
know
not know
that
Ms. Read
there's
a photograph
I only
of you
talked to her
at the
once.
hillside
I
bar,
don't
correct? You didn't know that
know
photo
her.
existed.
Objection, Your Honor.
She's not a part of the circle.
So you were
of
trying to
trust.
distance yourself from Ms. Read in your interview
shit.
with Michael Proctor, weren't you?
Objection.
Were you?
No, I was not.
Mr. Albert, you were trying to distance yourself from knowing Ms. Read.
Yes,
through
yes,
the
he
grand jury
was.
testimony
Exactly, he is.
with,
He is.
well,
He
I'll
sure
use the
the
dates,
fuck
in your
is.
April
He
2022
sure the
grand
fuck
jury testimony,
is.
weren't you?
No.
You were further trying to distance yourself from Ms. Read in your June 2023 grand jury testimony as well,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
No.
You thought that it was
Yes.
important to try to deny knowing John O'Keefe and Karen Read during those interviews and or that testimony.
Objection.
Wow.
Mr. Albert, you knew that if you admitted having a relationship with John O'Keefe and Karen Read, you'd have a lot to answer for when Karen Read's boyfriend ended up dead on your lawn 6 days later, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask the question differently.
You knew
He is
that
trying
there
to
would be
distance
questions
himself.
about your relationship with Karen Read if it were known that you knew her before her boyfriend ended up dead on your lawn 6 days later, correct? There would be questions.
Objection.
You can ask it a different way. That's sustained.
So you lied under oath when you said, I've never met or seen her before, correct?
No, because that wasn't my whole statement.
The sentence, I've never met or
No,
seen her
that
before.
wasn't my whole statement.
Oh,
See,
yeah,
but you because
That was
you
not the
tried
context
to
of my whole sentence.
backtrack your statements, sir.
But that's the words that came, those are the words that came out of your mouth, right?
Initially, and then I remembered that I had met her once.
We just asked
Yeah,
it this way.
see, you
Sure.
Is that
backtracked
sentence
your
true or
statement.
false? That you had never met or seen her before? True or false?
That portion of that sentence is false.
Well, then
Let's get
you
this on
made
record.
it. You made it.
Did John O'Keefe come into your house at 34 Fairview at any time
No.
on January
He's
29th,
gonna say no.
2022?
Absolutely not. I wish he had.
And you're as sure about that?
You see, okay,
As
I'm
you
going
are
to tell you a
about the statement that you never
telltale
met.
sign that absolutely not shit. Anytime somebody says absolutely not or never, they're fucking lying. Lying. And that I wish he had. Well, Karen wishes he didn't. Because entering your house caused him to be dead on your front lawn. All this, I wish I had. See, you're trying to like soften the blow and shit. You're such a disgrace.
Or seen Karen Read in your life,
Objection.
correct?
Sustained. You can ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
I want to get back to the waterfall.
Let's get back to this fucking play fighting or this roughing
I know I
around
asked
or
you this about
whatever
the
the
hillside.
fuck you
I may
said.
not have asked you about this,
Fucking
this
grabbing,
specific question
grabbing,
about the waterfall.
kissing
Did
another
Brian
man.
even
and
say anything
shit.
to you about John O'Keefe and Karen Read walking in
Trying to
together
mock,
at the
trying to
waterfall?
bully fucking
No.
John O'Keefe.
Did he
Let's
say
talk
anything or
about
give you
that.
any
He comes
indication
to
he was
the
upset
fucking
about Karen
goddamn
Read showing up with John O'Keefe?
bar.
No, he did not.
It appeared from your observations that John and Karen were getting along at the waterfall.
I didn't really notice, but I didn't notice anything was wrong.
They appeared pleasant,
Yes.
happy.
I don't know if they appeared happy. I didn't really notice.
They were interacting with others.
Yes.
You
Well,
didn't notice
they
any
were
tension,
interacting.
No.
no argument,
No.
mighty
yelling or fighting.
fine.
Nope.
They looked like a normal, happy couple.
Yes.
Did either of them appear to you to be completely drunk?
I I didn't have a ton of interaction with John or Karen that night, so I can't really say, but it didn't appear them
hold
that they
on,
were drunk.
hold
No.
on,
You had an
hold on.
opportunity to review.
You can't ask a drunk person if another person was acting drunk. You can't do that. He was drunk at the fucking time. He was shit-faced. They were at a bar all fucking day. He had been drinking all motherfucking day. You can't ask him that. How can you ask a drunk person if they know if another person's drunk or not? They're going to say, oh, I don't know. Because they're drunk themselves. So if I ain't acting all crazy, or in their mind not acting all crazy, they're going to think the next person ain't acting all crazy.
The waterfall video, you did it with Mr. Lally, correct?
The only small portion of it.
Right, but even in that small portion, and based on your memory, you don't remember that anybody being stumbling drunk and falling down over stools and things of that nature?
No.
Okay. They appear to be acting appropriately
Yes.
and interacting with others appropriately.
Yes.
People were buying drinks for others, is that right?
I'm sure. I don't recall exactly, but I'm sure that was going on. Yes.
It's not that unusual to say, hey, I'll get this round, correct?
Yes.
You left the waterfall at 11:58, is that right?
Yes, approximately.
Who was invited to come over to your house upon leaving the waterfall?
Whoever wanted to, really.
You'd been drinking since about what time in the evening or the afternoon?
9-ish.
That's when you went to the hillside?
Yes.
That's when you had your first drink?
Yes.
And you continued drinking throughout the evening consistently?
Yes.
Did you believe you were okay to drive?
Yes.
What kind of car did you have at the time?
Ford Edge.
Black?
Yes.
Who rode? Did you drive that car home from the waterfall?
Yes.
Who rode with you?
My wife and my
You
daughter.
drove your
What other
police
cars were in the
vehicle
driveway when you
home?
got there?
I don't recall. Brian Higgins' Jeep was in the driveway backing up as we pulled in.
So kind of in your way.
Yes.
In other words, you were going to park him in.
I didn't want to block him in.
Right. So you waited until he moved his Jeep out of the way.
Yes.
And then you pulled in.
Yes.
Where in the driveway did you pull in?
I believe I pulled to the left side of the driveway.
You would have been closest to the garage, or was there a car between you and the garage?
I would have been closest to the left side walkway. I don't think there was a car in front of me, but I'm not 100%.
Mr. Albert, did you move that black Ford Edge at any point that night after you got home?
No.
Brian Higgins was the first person to actually physically get to the house. He got there before you, correct?
Yes.
For some weird
Describe his
reason, I
Jeep.
think Brian was.
He had a Jeep Wrangler. I believe it's white. I think it's white.
Any appendage on it?
A plow.
A snow plow on the front?
Yes.
That can hydraulically go up and down.
I didn't see it that closely. I'm assuming it can, but I don't know that for sure.
After Mr. Higgins moved out of your way, out of the driveway, where did he put that Jeep?
I don't know. I don't know where he parked.
Okay, how long is he?
So you wouldn't have gotten to the house if you left Waterfall at
I need to
11:58.
smoke already.
You have to get out to your car, get in your car, start it up, drive home, wait for Brian Higgins to move his Jeep, park your car, then get into the house. That's a fair assessment of the mechanism of you getting home that night, correct?
Yes.
You wouldn't have gotten into the house until.
Okay, I'm going to be
12:15?
here, but I'm going
15
in the
minutes for all that?
chat.
I would put it more,
Smoke.
maybe 10 past 12.
Okay.
Some-
12:10 or so?
That would just be a guess.
So it could have been 12:15.
Yeah, and it could have been 12:07.
Who was inside the house when you walked in?
My nephew Colin, my son Brian, and then he had two friends, female friends. I believe it's Sarah and Julie.
What were they doing inside the house?
They were sitting at the kitchen table.
And your nephew, Colin, how old was he at the time?
I believe 17 or 18.
Describe him.
In what way?
Height, weight.
So 2.5 years ago. So he was probably 5'11", maybe 6 feet, and probably 100 and, I'm guessing 175 pounds.
Big boy.
He's
Not a small kid.
right.
Bigger than me, significantly.
Yes.
Athletic guy?
Yes.
Played football.
Yes.
Good at football.
Yes.
You testified that you went to the bathroom after you arrived home, correct?
Yes. After saying hi to everybody, I went to the bathroom.
Was that upstairs or downstairs?
I'm not sure. I have a bathroom downstairs and not downstairs, but on that floor and then upstairs. So I'm not sure which one I went to.
When you came
I think
back
it was
home,
upstairs.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
I
to.
think it may have been upstairs, but I'm not sure.
When you came back downstairs from the bathroom or came out of the bathroom, wherever it was, you no longer saw Colin,
Yes. Prior to going to the bathroom, Colin had said that he was getting picked up.
but you never saw him leave.
No.
You didn't see him leave the house, and you didn't see him get picked up by anybody.
I did not.
You didn't see a car outside waiting for him, correct?
I didn't know.
You did give an initial statement on the morning of the 29th to Michael Lang, about 7 a.m., is that right?
Officer Lank was in the house at that time and speaking to all of us, really.
And you've admitted that you have known Michael Lang for many years, is that right?
Yes.
Did you see that as a problem?
In what way?
Conflict of interest?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll let him have it. Did you see that as a conflict?
No.
You were asked who was present at the house that night, the night before, right?
Yes.
You stated the following people were at the house that night, quote, in response to Officer Lank's question, at some point during the time in question. That's how he phrased the question. Who was at the house at some point during the time in question? You understood that, right?
I don't recall his question. No.
You knew that he was asking who was in the house.
That's right. Yes.
So you mentioned Brian Albert Jr.,
Yes.
your son. You mentioned Caitlin Albert, your eldest.
Yes.
You mentioned Julie Nagel.
Yes.
You mentioned Brian Higgins.
Yes.
And then you added the detail that Caitlin Albert had left your house about 12:15 a.m., correct?
No,
You didn't say that?
I did not.
I may have just a moment. Yes. May I approach you?
Yes. Show Mr. Lally.
I'm sorry. So you don't have to sit and read the entire thing. There's a right at the top of this post-it. There's a word that says next. If you would read that area, the next few sentences, let me know when you're finished. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Albert, did you have an opportunity to review that portion of a report?
I did.
Did that refresh your recollection about conversations you had along with your wife with Officer Lank?
Yes.
Isn't it true that Officer Lank asked you and your wife who else was in the house that night aside from the names already mentioned? And the names mentioned were Brian Albert Jr., Caitlin Albert, Julie Nagel, and Brian Higgins, quote, who was a friend of Brian Albert Sr., end quote. Is that right?
That's what the report says, yes.
And then the report goes on to say, they advised me that their daughter Caitlin left the house around 12:15 a.m. when she was picked up by her boyfriend, Kristen Morris, right?
That's what the report says, yes.
Do you think Officer Lank got it wrong?
Perhaps, yes.
Did you say that Caitlin left about 12:15?
No.
Did Nicole say in your presence that Caitlin left about 12:15?
She did not.
At any point, did Officer Lank ask you what time Caitlin left?
I don't recall him asking that. It was a very chaotic morning, and I don't remember him saying that.
So in fact, if he wrote that sentence in the report that you just read, he's just making that up.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
I'll ask it a different way. If that's what Officer Lank recalls, he's just wrong, right?
Yes.
Anything else that he's wrong about in there?
I didn't read the whole report.
At no point, isn't it true that at no point during that interview did you admit or mention that Colin Albert had been at the house that night?
I don't believe I did, no.
At no point during that interview did your wife, Nicole, in your presence, admit or mention that Colin Albert was in the house that night?
No.
So did both of you conveniently forget that Colin was there?
Objection.
I'll ask it.
Sustained.
Did you forget that Colin had been there?
No.
Is there a reason that you left his name out?
Because he wasn't there. He left when we got there. He wasn't there for the duration of the time that we had that night.
Except for the fact that you just testified that you never saw him leave, correct?
Well, he said he was getting picked up, and then he was gone, so I assumed he left.
People say a lot of things, but you didn't see him leave, and you didn't see him in the regular floor of the house, according to you, correct?
Right.
Ground floor of the house.
Right. He was no longer in my house, so he left.
Well, you didn't search the house, did you?
No.
And you never saw him leave.
I didn't physically see him leave, no.
You also gave a statement to Michael Proctor later that morning. It was about noon, maybe it was in the afternoon, noon, 12:30, something like that.
Are you asking?
On the 29th, you later, after you spoke with Officer Lank, you later were interviewed by Trooper Michael Proctor over at Jim McCabe's house. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Colin's name was never mentioned then either.
No, because Colin wasn't at the house for the duration of the night.
So when they said who's in the house, talking about Brian Albert, Caitlin Albert,
Yes.
folks in the house,
Yes. And
Nagel,
yes. And there were other people in the house prior to us arriving. I didn't mention them either.
who's that?
There were some females, friends that were over prior to our arrival, and
But you never even saw them.
No.
So you have no idea who was there and who wasn't there before you got there.
I know that there were people at the house prior to me getting there.
Mr. Albert, the question that had been posed to you by several officers was, who did you see in your home when you got there, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I don't believe that's how it was asked, no.
But Colin's name was never mentioned. It's left out.
I testified multiple times that Colin was there when we arrived.
Oh, you did it after the fact, right?
He's a sneaky motherfucker. He likes to he likes to wow. He is evasive as a motherfucker, and he's sneaky. Sneaky the way he's answering these questions. Very fucking sneaky. That way he doesn't get perjured. But he's sneaky. Fucking sneaky snake.
Yes, when I was at.
You knew that the defense knew
When
Colin was there.
when he said, "Oh well, you named everybody that was in the house that night, but you didn't name Colin." Or Colin. Well, after the last thing I watched, but and then he says, "Well, other people were in the house. I didn't name them either." But did you see them? No, but I knew they were at my house. No, they didn't ask you who you knew was at your house. It was who you seen that night. Wow, you're sneaky. You're a sneaky motherfucker.
Objection.
Sustained.
In your initial reports to the police,
And I
His name
don't
was
like
never
I don't
mentioned.
like how
I did not
all
mention-
these witnesses, they look over to Lally to save them, to fucking save them. Do an objection. What? Help me. Help me. They do that. It's so fucking weird.
and Nicole did not mention it in your presence, did she?
In my presence, no.
Let's talk about Caitlin Albert, your eldest. You told Officer Lank that your daughter, well,
Sneaky.
according to Officer Lank, let me rephrase the question based on our colloquy back and forth. According to Officer Lank, you're aware that he wrote, he was told she was gone by 12:15, correct?
That's what he wrote in the report, yes.
If
See,
Caitlin was gone by
even that,
12:15.
even that. Oh, well, that's what he wrote in the report. So you're okay, a report is supposed to be what you have said to the officers, sir. But every report's wrong. Every report's wrong. So okay, you say everything is wrong on the Commonwealth side. But so when the defendant, or the defense brings towards you and police reports and stuff like that, it's all wrong, right? How is anybody supposed to believe any of the evidence in this case then? Because if your reports are wrong, then obviously the evidence in this case is wrong too. Fucking weird.
She would not have been there when John and Karen
I
arrived
can't
to
wait
the
for
house, correct?
trial too. Oh my
They arrived
God.
15 minutes later.
But she was at the house, so that would be hypothetical.
Okay.
Oh
So,
my
fine,
God.
let's
Oh
ask
my
that.
God.
If in fact
Mom.
Caitlin was gone by 12:15,
You
that would mean hypothetically she would not have been there when John and Karen arrived 15 minutes later.
exactly. No, but you hurried up and switched it and said Caitlin was there, but Colin wasn't, right? That's what you guys did. So you're not lying. You're just lying about the name. Caitlin wasn't there, but I mean, because if you think about it, the story is that Colin left 12:10, 12:15 before John got there, and but the first police reports, you're saying that your daughter left first, and you just left Colin out of it because he was there. I mean, it doesn't take a fucking rocket scientist to fucking read between the motherfucking lines. You think you're a sneaky snake? Well, the defense knows how to handle sneaky snakes like you.
Objection.
Sustained.
Okay, start itching now. You're going to start itching here shortly
When you were interviewed
with your damn
By Officer
tongue
Lang.
and everything. It drives me
that
nuts.
morning, other people were in the room, not just
You're
you. and
starting to
Officer
move
Lang, correct?
around.
Yes, I wouldn't consider that morning to be an interview with Officer Lang.
More conversation.
Yes.
During that conversation, Nicole was there.
Yes.
She was in earshot.
Yes.
Jen was there.
When she was involved in the conversation, you were within earshot.
Yes.
Brian Jr. would have been within earshot.
Brian Jr. wasn't downstairs most of that.
Jen was there. Matt McCabe was there. Julie was there. I mean, a lot of people were there when you guys interviewed, which is weird to me because you're supposed to be sectioned off. You're not supposed to have any contact with any other witness. That way there's no cooperation going on. And all your guys' story, this is what's I don't know how anybody doesn't pick this up. But no two witnesses' stories are ever going to be the same because we all were born with two eyes, not the same view, right? So they're going to see shit that you didn't see, and you're going to see shit that they didn't see. But for you all to have the same fucking story and the same answer to certain questions is odd to me.
That morning. So
And you always do like windows. You never do right times, so you don't, perjure yourself. So bullshit.
may not have been.
He was there for part of the thing.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that he was there at the time. Officer Lank was
Oh,
asking
but you
questions.
could have talked to him anyways,
The fact of the matter is, notwithstanding what Officer Lank wrote that you said about Caitlin leaving at 12:15, he did not leave at 12:15. Is that right?
She did not know.
As a matter of fact, in truth, except for the people who lived there, Caitlin was the very last person to leave that location that morning, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And she's admitted that she did not leave until nearly 2 a.m., 1:45, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You're aware that she did not leave until 1:45 or thereafter. Is that right?
I believe that's around the time, yes.
Were you trying to cover for Caitlin so your daughter would not be wrapped up in this investigation?
I think he's trying to cover for Colin, and Caitlin's trying to cover for Colin. So they switched times. They fucking switched times. That's why they switched motherfucking times.
No.
Lies.
But as a reminder,
You're
when you were
trying to
spoken
fucking,
to,
you're
the
trying
first
to
two
cover for
officers
somebody,
who discussed who was in the house,
including yourself, buddy.
you never mentioned Colin was even there, correct?
Objection.
We've gone
There
over
we
that.
go.
Next question, please.
No, he
Sister.
never mentioned Colin. He never did.
If Colin was gone, just like Caitlin was gone,
Mm-hmm.
that would eliminate them from ever being at the house at the same time. as Jonathan.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Sustained.
On January 29th, about 11:30 or 12, we talked about the fact that you were interviewed by Michael Proctor at Jen McCabe's house, correct?
Yes.
You knew at the time that the state police were looking to interview Jennifer McCabe about her understanding of what had happened the night before.
Objection.
Sustained.
You were notified that the state police were going to interview Jen McCabe.
Objection.
I'll allow it. Were you notified that?
No.
You knew the subject matter of an interview with Jen McCabe was going to happen over, the subject matter of the night before was going to happen over at Jen McCabe's house. That's why you went there, right?
Objection. No.
I'll allow it.
No.
Isn't it true that you knew you had been notified, or at least you believed that an interview with Jen McCabe as part of an official police investigation was going to occur at her house?
Yes.
You were not asked by the police to join her, correct?
No.
You had no official reason to be at
But
Jen
you
McCabe's house,
hurried and
correct?
ran over there, didn't you?
What do you, I don't know what you mean by official reason.
You were not working the investigation yourself.
No.
You were a witness.
What you told
Right?
Lally
So
is
you
you
had no
went to go
official reason to
comfort
be at
her.
Jen McCabe's house during an
Hold
interview with
on.
Jen.
Wait, you told Lally that you went to go comfort her. So what's the reason, sir? Now you're going to backtrack that? Because the defense may have your fucking nuts in a fucking chokehold. What's up?
Okay,
Objection.
No, y'all allow it.
No.
so
Look at him.
But
Look at
before she
Lally.
gave her
Like he's
statement,
like looking at the state like
you made
what
sure
the
that
fuck?
you were right there to monitor that interview and exactly
Trying
what was
to
said, correct?
wiggle
Objection.
and worm and all
Were you
sorts.
in her house when Jen
There
McCabe
you
was
go.
interviewed by
Start
Michael?
itching.
Her house, yes.
You had gone to her house,
Yeah,
correct?
start
did.
scratching
there
your
before
legs.
she
Start
gave the interview.
scratching your legs.
Yes.
So you were there in her house during the entirety of her interview, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And importantly, Jen McCabe knew you were in her house during that interview, correct?
I assume she knew, yes.
I mean, you're in her house after all.
Yes.
We're trying to say that she didn't see you. Wait.
We'll get back to-
Hold on. Jen didn't see you come in, so Jen McCabe wouldn't know that you were there because she didn't see you come in. So what if John O'Keefe came into your house and you didn't see him come in, so he wasn't there? Is that what we're getting at? See, I listen to everything. Man, you would have hated if I was a lawyer, motherfucker.
To 34 Fairview, if I could. In the early morning hours of January 29th, Brian Higgins directly followed you into the house after you walked in, correct?
Could you rephrase that?
Sure. You walked in, even though there
Oh
was
my
moving
God!
parts.
Like the simplest of questions. You can't answer, you dumb fuck.
You were the first one to walk into the house. Brian Higgins followed you.
Yes.
Nicole and Caitlin then came in shortly after that.
I think Nicole and Caitlin probably came in around the same time as me.
Did you,
And then Brian Higgins.
sorry. Did you make another drink once you walked into the house?
Did I make a drink?
Did you make a drink? Grab clear.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. When I say make a drink, did you get a drink?
Yes.
What drink did you get?
I don't know. Probably just would have been whatever was at the house, a beer or something.
Okay. Did Higgins have another drink?
I don't know.
What did you do? What did you and Brian Higgins do once you were inside the house?
We just kind of hung out, talked.
At any point, did you and Brian Higgins go down to the basement?
No, I don't remember going to the basement.
You don't remember going to the basement,
Get
or
out
you didn't
there.
go to the basement?
No, I
No.
didn't go to the basement.
Did Brian Higgins go to the basement?
Not that I know of.
Leave him alone. He's a male.
And you didn't go upstairs?
You get
Second
mad
floor
all
division.
you want.
I think I did go upstairs, yes.
Isn't it true that Brian Higgins has never been upstairs in your house?
Prior to that night?
Ever. Including that night, specifically.
I don't think that's true, no.
You owned a dog at the time, correct?
Yes.
The German Shepherd named Chloe.
Yes. Mixed.
Described that dog as being not great with strangers. Isn't that true?
I did describe it that way, yes.
You testified that, quote, it started barking
Don't look
because
at
it
me
realized
like
people
that.
were downstairs, end quote, right?
Yes.
Chloe had a penchant for barking when she heard people, correct?
Kitty.
No, not necessarily.
So that night,
Yeah, I think she wanted to use the bathroom.
Well, that's not what you said in your testimony. You said it started barking because it realized there were people downstairs, right?
Right.
So your German Shepherd, probably a decent guard dog, if she heard commotion and people, she would bark.
Objection.
Sustained.
Yes.
You can ask it differently.
Obviously,
Probably,
if Chloe hears
yes.
commotion and people, she's apt to bark. That's the only question.
No.
So just that night, out of nowhere, first time ever, Chloe starts barking when people walk into the house.
No, it's not the first time ever, but she didn't bark often.
Okay, but she did bark that night, right?
Yes.
And the reason that you gave under oath for why she started barking was because there were people downstairs milling about, right?
Yes.
So in that instance, on January 29th, in the early morning hours, she was barking because she heard people.
Well, I can't
No.
say why she was barking.
Well, you did say why she was barking.
I let her out to use the bathroom, so I think that's probably why.
Except your testimony was it started barking because it realized there were people downstairs. Those are your words, Mr. Albert.
Right. Okay.
You stand by those?
Yes.
But she didn't bark with the police
Normally did that for
sirens
you,
and
that's
shit
correct.
outside and the police
And you allowed
outside.
her to stay
She
downstairs
only
and monitored
started barking when
her
people
with
were
the others who were in the
outside.
house. Isn't that right?
Yes.
As a matter of fact,
You
you
mean
testified in that
inside?
state grand jury, the same April grand jury, April 2022. So I let it go out to the bathroom. I let it back in. I kind of monitored it a little because we usually don't have people over the house and the dog's not great with strangers, period. So I was just making sure that the dog was all right with the people that were over, end quote, correct?
Yes.
So in fact, you did keep Chloe downstairs, at least for a period of time, with people that were over, right?
Yes, for a few minutes, I think.
Mr. Albert, after you learned that there were questions being raised about John's injuries and dog bites and scratches, in May of 2022, you got rid of that dog, did you not?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask it differently.
At some point,
Yes, yes.
your family got rid of Chloe.
And they rehomed
Chloe was
their home.
rehomed in May
And they
2023.
Whatever word
rehomed
you
their
want to.
phones.
Rehomed, rehoused, whatever. But you got rid of her. She's no longer part of the Albert family, right?
Objection.
Allow that.
Right.
Never got rid of her. That's
When
getting
did you
rid
get
of
rid of
her.
So Chloe was
Rehoming her
rehomed in, I
getting
believe,
rid of her.
May
Of 2022,
of 2022.
just months after the incident that we're discussing.
Well, after it was involved, she was involved in a dog fight with another dog out front.
Right, but that's also after the incident
Yes.
we're discussing.
Yes, May.
That's a family pet that you had had for 6 years or 7 years.
Approximately 6 or 7 years. Not
Your
sure.
explanation just now for having gotten rid of that dog is because it bit another dog and ultimately sent 2 women to the hospital, correct?
I believe 2 women went to the hospital. Yes.
But you took no action to get rid of Chloe until after you knew that serious questions were being raised about John O'Keefe's,
Objection.
correct?
Sustained.
Stop it, Lally.
At some point, you did realize there were questions being raised about John O'Keefe's injuries on his arm, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Did you realize that?
I heard some talk about it. Yes.
As of January of 2022, John O'Keefe had never been in your house, had he?
John O'Keefe was never in my house before or after that date.
Certainly, John O'Keefe, you would agree with me, he would count, were he in your house, he would count as a stranger to Chloe. Never met him.
Hypothetically, yes.
I want to ask a couple of questions about your house. I know there's multiple bedrooms. Are all the bedrooms on the top floor?
Yes.
Okay. How many bedrooms?
5.
As we're looking at your house, from the street, looking at your house,
5 bedrooms.
are your bedroom
on top?
windows,
That's
your and Nicole's bedroom
weird.
windows,
Wonky.
visible from the street?
Yes.
Which windows would they be?
If you were facing the house, they would be far left corner.
Upper or lower?
Someone had to.
Upper left corner.
Yes.
How many windows? 3 or 2, sir, said
2.
Because that's just wonky.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, could I display Exhibit 66?
Okay.
Do you see what is displayed on that television?
Yes.
What does that appear to be to you?
The house at 34 Fairview Road.
Okay. Understanding this is a graphic representation, not a photograph. Do you see the windows that you just described servicing your bedroom on that graphic?
Yes.
Are they right there?
Yes.
Okay. Upper left, 2 windows, correct?
Yes.
And those overlook what part of the lawn?
The front lawn.
Okay. Front lawn toward the left side of the house, not toward the driveway, correct?
Right. I mean, it's the whole front lawn, but yeah,
Right. So they're toward the left side of the house.
the windows are, yes. They asked about the view.
Right.
So the view's the whole front yard.
I'm just trying to make the record, the spoken record as clear as possible.
Right.
They're on the left side of the house.
Yes.
They directly overlook this portion of the lawn, the left side of the lawn,
Yes.
furthest from the driveway.
Yes.
We can take that down. Where's your bed, or where was your bed inside that room, as relates to the windows?
I'm just trying to think of how to describe it. So the bed would be in the middle of the bedroom.
Okay, it's a bad question on my part because we haven't been there. Let's do it this way. How many feet from the windows would the closest part of your bed be to those windows?
Maybe 5 feet. 6 feet.
You indicated that Nicole came to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Where was the dog?
The dog was in my room.
And she was sleeping on a mat in your room.
Yes.
And that mat is also about 6 feet from the windows.
Yes.
6 feet being from me to Miss Little, maybe this far?
Could be, yes, maybe a little further, but yes.
So what? You got a
Maybe.
10-foot by 12-foot room or what?
A relatively quiet street generally, Fairview.
Yes.
Not an enormous amount of through traffic.
No.
Not a busy freeway or a highway,
Just
correct?
weird
No.
the dog wasn't
Not an
barking.
especially
they didn't
noisy
wake
street.
up. It's
The street,
just
no.
fucking
Especially at
weird.
6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, right?
Right.
Where were you at 6:03 on the morning of January 29, 2022?
I was sleeping in my room.
6 feet from that window.
Yes.
Was Nicole in bed with you?
Yes.
Had you taken any medication the night before?
No.
Were you on any sedatives?
No.
Sleeping pills?
No.
Were you wearing a sleep apnea machine?
No.
Were you wearing an eye mask?
No.
Were you wearing earplugs?
No.
Then how come you didn't hear
Shortly
or
thereafter,
see
became aware
anything?
that 6 emergency vehicles, including a fire engine, police cruisers, and unmarked police vehicles, a civilian SUV, were all parked in front of your house that morning.
Lights, sirens, all
I'm not
that
aware of
shit.
what type of vehicles were parked there, no.
You seen photographs since this incident?
Of the vehicles out front? No.
Are you aware that all of those vehicles had their engines running?
No.
Are you aware that all the emergency vehicles at least had their lights on? Flashing lights?
No.
Hey!
Responders who were talking to each other over the din of the wind and the snow?
What?
To communicate with each other?
No.
You're aware that there were 3 women on your lawn at one point?
Just only after the fact.
And at least one of those women was screaming to the top of her lungs at 6:03?
No.
Again, your German Shepherd was 6 feet from the window, correct?
I don't know that for sure.
That's where Matt was.
Well, that doesn't mean that's where she always is. She also sleeps in the closet area sometimes.
Oh, so now Chloe's in the closet.
I didn't say she was in the closet. I said she sleeps in the closet area sometimes.
Was she sleeping in the closet area that morning?
I don't remember.
Likelihood is she's sleeping on that mat 5 or 6 feet from that window, correct?
Objection. I don't know.
And your explanation, and by the way, we've already talked about this. Earlier that day, you already indicated she was barking because she heard people and noises downstairs when you guys came in the house.
Yes.
And your explanation is that you and Nicole and Chloe, the German Shepherd, all slept through the entirety of that commotion on your front lawn.
Yes.
To be clear, you are a trained first responder.
Yes.
Yep.
Yet during that entire event, after you were awakened, all that chaos on your front lawn, you never came out of your house to
Nope.
assist or investigate in any manner whatsoever, did you, Mr. Albert?
Once I was awakened?
Correct.
No.
We've talked about this a little bit, but I want to ask you a couple of other questions about the layout of the house. The house is sitting on top of a basement, correct?
Yes.
Or was at the time. Describe how you get to the basement from inside the house if you come in the front door. And when I say, I'm sorry to do this, I don't mean to interrupt you. There's 2 front doors that you go in, correct?
Yes.
For purposes of my question, Mr. Albert, I'm going to talk about the one that's right in front of you, the obvious one, as the front door, and the one to the right of it as you're looking at the house as the side door. Okay?
Okay.
Because I don't know how else to describe it. If you come in the front door, describe for the jurors, where is the basement door as compared to that?
So you walk straight ahead. You pass the kitchen dining room area opening on your right-hand side, and there's a door on the left.
How many paces? The door opens. How many paces to walk over and grab that door handle?
I'm not sure, maybe 10?
10 full paces.
Maybe, yeah.
So,
Maybe 8, maybe 8.
Mr. Albert, it's about 4 long steps, correct?
Well, I don't know. You asked paces, so, 6 feet,
6 feet.
6 to
Everything
8 feet, maybe.
Got it.
feet or whatever.
What was the basement used for in January 2022?
So the basement had a weight room in one of the rooms, and the other room was nothing at the time. It had been damaged, or water damage due to an overflowed toilet.
So part of the flooring had been ripped up,
Yes.
and that opened up some slab concrete downstairs.
Yes.
There was also some plywood downstairs.
Yes.
There were a couple of mats where the actual weights were, so they got slamming down onto concrete.
Yes.
But there was a good amount of that floor that was just exposed concrete.
Yes.
The workout equipment would include things like what? Barbells, dumbbells,
Yes.
heavy weights,
Yes.
heavy bars.
If I'm not too tired, yeah, I'll be over there.
Once you're down in the basement, by the way, there's 2 flights that you go down at angles to get to the basement. A series of steps, a landing, take a left, another series of steps, and you stand on the basement.
Yes. Not a long staircase, very small, but
Right. I mean, it's narrow and tight, but in other words, you don't just walk straight down the staircase. You go down to a flight, to a landing, turn left,
turns a little.
go down, turn left again, and now you're in the basement. If you wanted to move something large or heavy out of that basement without having to go through the house, could you do that?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Could you rephrase the question?
I'll say it again. If you wanted to move something large or heavy out of that basement without having to go through the main house, could you do that?
Yes, I mean, it would depend what it was, obviously, how big it was, or
How would you do that?
there's a bulkhead door you can use.
Got it. Where does that bulkhead door come out?
It comes out to the backyard, right at the
It's
kitchen
cellar
area.
doors.
You can see it from the kitchen.
And right to the left of that,
It's called cellar
the side
doors,
fence.
sir.
Yes,
And directly through that side fence is the front yard.
yes,
The same side of the front yard as
John
John O'Keefe's body
O'Keefe
was found.
was
Yes.
laying.
Your Honor, I would ask, I just want to mark a video. Let me have just a moment. Yes.
Mr. Jackson, would you like to take a morning recess?
That'd be great. Good time. Yes, thank you.
All right, please.
Ah, he said, thank God. I don't know if anybody heard that before, but he said, thank God. Hold on. We gotta redo that. Hold on. We gotta hear that again. Okay. Play.
Thank you.
All right, please.
He said, thank God. He's like, get me the fuck off of here. That's fucking funny. Okay. He said, thank God. That's the second hot mic I've seen. Because the other trooper that comes on this motherfucker, he's going to say, kill me.
referring to the doorknob. I got it here. Yes.
I'm sorry, sort of hit
That's funny shit.
my.
Yes.
We can publish on it?
Okay.
Do you see what's depicted on the television screen?
Yes,
Does that appear to be the same as what you're holding right there, that exhibit?
it does. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to direct your attention, if I could, to the lower left portion of this photograph. And right there. Do you see that? Tell what that is.
I can't.
Let me highlight it one more time, right there. Maybe it's easier if you look on your photograph.
Are you referring to the doorknob? I got it here. Yes.
I'm
Put
sorry,
it
I
on
sort
the
of hit my
door.
photograph, so I apologize. Is that the door that swings open or closed to close off the basement?
Yes.
Then if you open that door, it's in the open position now, correct?
Yes.
So the photographer is standing in the basement looking toward the doorway, correct?
Yes.
Then you climb 7 or 8 stairs.
Yes.
And that bulkhead door, which is where all the light is emanating, how does that open?
So the bulkhead door opens straight up.
Okay, at least in that photograph, it was hinged toward the house and would open up like a, I don't know, like a sandwich or something.
It opens straight up to the bay windows that are in the kitchen.
Got it, okay. Okay, that's all I need for that photograph. Your Honor, I have a flash drive with a video on it. I'd ask that this be marked as next in order. Court's permission.
Assuming it's the same one, no objection.
It's the same one.
Oh, wait.
Mr. Albert, I want to ask you to take a look in just a second at a video and then describe if you recognize what's in that video. I'll probably play maybe 5 or
I'm gonna
10
go
seconds
for
of it
like
and
a
pause.
5-minute break.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna go smoke. I will be on the shop.
Pause. Do you recognize what's depicted in that video, at least up to that point?
No.
Does that look like your basement door, although the bulkhead doors have been replaced to be different?
The whole thing looks different to me.
Let's go to the video. Pause.
It looks
Now-
different to you. Why would
Yes.
it look different to you?
So that's my backyard.
Okay. And what area is over to the left over here?
That's a gate
And what does that gate open up
to the front
That
yard.
would be
So
pretty
the area you're
easy
looking
to
at right
get
now,
something heavy
the
out.
Photographer standing is the backyard.
Yes.
Now, having seen that, notwithstanding
And
the
not
way
be
that the bulkhead doors
seen.
open, now do you recognize what was depicted at the beginning of the
Especially
video?
with no fucking
which was
street
that
light.
staircase?
Yes. The downstairs door, the door itself, the wooden door itself, also looks different.
Okay. So, but it is
But it is the stairway. Yes.
going into the basement.
Yes.
Or coming out of the basement.
Yes.
So in other words, another way to put that is that represented the ingress and egress through the bulkhead
Okay,
to the
I'm
basement.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play this.
And it looks right out where John O'Keefe was found. Ain't that shit? It's not very far of a walk. Not far at all. It looks bigger on
Did you
camera than it
recognize what was
does
depicted in the video?
in real life, I've heard.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Did you recognize what was depicted in the video as it continued to play?
Yes.
Describe that for the jurors, please.
It looked like the video was from walking from the backyard towards the front yard.
So the video started at the backyard door, turned toward the fence, went through the fence, and right up toward the flagpole, correct?
Yes.
Is that an accurate representation of the layout of the house when you lived there on January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
With the exception of the bulkhead door having been replaced and maybe the base of the door.
Yes.
By the way, the 34 Fairview house had been in your family at that time in 2022 for 2 generations?
My parents built the house in the late 70s, 79 maybe.
So if your parents are 1 generation, you and your family are another generation, 2 generations.
Right.
Nearly, maybe actually a little more than 50 years, half a century.
That what?
It was the Albert home.
Yes.
The fact is, you listed that house for sale for the first time ever in November of 2022, correct?
That's the time we listed it. Yes.
Just months after John O'Keefe was found on your lawn.
Objection.
16.
Mr. Albert, is that timing, according to you, a coincidence?
Is what?
Is that timing a coincidence?
Well, that's not the timing. Actually, we contacted the realtor in 2021, finally listed it in 2022. So that would be pre-incident.
So the listing coming 9 months after John O'Keefe was found dead in your lawn, dying in your lawn, that's just coincidence. You had this in place long before that.
Objection.
So I'll sustain the question. You can ask it differently.
Sure. All I'm asking is the timing, November of 2022, listing that house for sale for the first time in November, that in your mind is just a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence because we started trying to look into selling the house in 2021, which was the few months prior to the incident.
On January 28th, 2022, you were still an active Boston police officer, correct?
Yes.
What was your job title in January 2022?
Sergeant detective.
That means you not only respond to incidents, you actually conduct investigations as a detective, correct?
Yes. Primarily fugitive investigations.
You have additional training in order to hold the title and hold a position as a detective. Is that right?
Yes.
Not just a regular patrol officer. You have to have special training to get to the rank of detective. Is that right?
Yes.
As a sergeant detective, that's above a regular detective, indeed, because you're a supervising detective. Is that right?
Yes.
You have experience and training in order to hold that position as a supervisor in the detective spot as well.
Yes. There's civil service tests for the rank, but yes.
And you've investigated crimes. I mean, I'm guessing just a ton of different types of crimes, including assaults, manslaughters, homicides, kidnappings, things of that nature.
No.
You've never investigated anything like that.
No.
So what's the parameters of your investigative skills as you held that title of sergeant detective?
So my parameters were investigating fugitive investigations. That was my specialty, I guess you could say.
So you've responded to, obviously, to countless incidents and scenes as both a patrol officer
Yes.
as well as a detective.
Yes.
You've supervised the investigation of at least the fugitive type of crimes, correct?
Yes.
Fugitives trying to thwart investigators to try to find them, right?
Yes.
That's their whole, it's the cat and mouse thing, right?
Right.
You being the cat, correct?
Sometimes. Yes.
You're also trained in techniques, obviously any detective would be trained in techniques that culprits might use or suspects might use to sort of cover up investigations. I'm sorry, to cover up crimes, to thwart investigations, correct?
Objection.
Do you have that training, sir?
No.
So you, in all of your training, 30 years as a Boston police officer, and as a sergeant detective, you don't have any training in what techniques criminals might use to try to cover up their conduct?
No. I've never gone to a training for criminals to cover up conduct. No.
Never been trained in the fact that, I don't know, somebody might want to clean up blood at a scene.
No.
Objection.
The answer stand.
What about sanitizing a location?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
What about getting rid of electronic data? You got to have training in that.
No.
In other words, the fugitives that you chase down and try to find, you don't try to utilize electronic data to go after them?
Sometimes we do, but I don't have any training in it per se.
I mean, things like GPS data and phone calls, and text messages, and communications, and things of that nature, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
These are all things that, at least those things, are things that if you didn't have formal training, you got on the job training and just have common sense about how to go after this type of evidence, correct?
Yes.
Sir, you had an iPhone with a number ending in 0888 back in January 2022, did you not?
Yes.
How many years did you have that iPhone as of January 28th, 2022?
Of several years. I'm not sure how many, but multiple years.
And Mr. Albert, you were notified by the Commonwealth that on September 23rd, 2022, in the fall of 2022, a judge specifically ordered that you were to preserve that phone.
Objection, Your Honor.
Correct?
I'll see counsel at sidebar.
Karen, give him the daggers. There you go. Because that dirtbag needs them. How are you to say that you're a fugitive task force agent and you don't know how to use anything or know how people erase their tracks?
For a few minutes.
Already? Wow.
Thank you. Maybe see.
Right, and I am going to see if his counsel here, he has a right to be present in the courtroom.
May I step up for a moment, Your Honor?
Sure.
Wow, here we go with the council shit. Gotta conversate with his fucking attorney. Because he's gonna get messages brought up. He's gonna get a lot of shit brought up. So his little attorney may be advised to give him advice. Just absolutely sickening when you have nothing to hide, but yet you hire attorneys. What are you afraid of? What are you so fucking afraid of, dude? Okay, what are we doing?
Not exactly sure of the date.
Give me a time frame. Let's see if we can narrow it down.
2022. I'm just not sure the exact date or even the month.
For the end of 2022?
I'm not sure. I believe prior to some of the other testimony that I gave. So prior to
April of 2022 at the state grand jury?
No, prior to the other testimony.
Okay, that was in June of 2023. That's my question. Did you hire Mr. Henning in 2023 in anticipation of giving testimony in June of 2023?
I'm not sure of the exact date. I believe it was maybe the end of 22. I'm not sure.
Well, did you get a subpoena for the other hearing?
I did.
Okay. Did you hire Mr. Henning after you got that subpoena?
I can't say. I believe so. Right around that time, yes. I'm just trying to remember the time, and I can't remember it.
Okay. So you did not hire. Well, you're all right.
You only hired him when you knew you were in fucking trouble.
I'm going to see a sidebar about the extent of the inquiry.
Oh, come on, lady.
Thank you.
May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. You had received, I want to draw your attention to 2023 now. I'm sorry. Now I'm doing it. The fall of 2022, September of 2022.
Yes.
Did you receive a notice on Commonwealth letterhead indicating that you were not to destroy or in any way manipulate any data on your cell phone, destroy the phone itself, or to manipulate or destroy any data on that cell phone? I
do not remember getting that letter. No.
I'm going to read this for the record, Your Honor, if I may, with court's permission.
Yes.
Did you receive a letter that said, in essence, not in essence, it should be quoted as the following, quote, you, Mr. Allen, are hereby notified that the defense in the case of Commonwealth versus KARENREAD, Norfolk Superior Court, criminal case number 22-117, has filed a motion pursuant to Mass R. Crim P. 17 for the production of any cell phones that you use.
I want to know why the Commonwealth is allowed to send out notices like this. They shouldn't be allowed.
January 28, 2022, and February 28, 2022, and or any data associated with those cell phones, period. The hearing on Ms. Reed's motion will be held on October 3, 2022 at 2 p.m. in Courtroom 1 of the Norfolk Superior Court. You may be heard on the motion at that time. You are hereby placed on notice that these cell phones are the subject of pending litigation, and you must not alter, delete, destroy, or in any way manipulate any of these electronic data associated with the cell phones at issue. Period, end quote. Did you receive a notice from the Commonwealth with that language?
I don't remember receiving that document, no.
Were you told in any other capacity that you were not to get rid of or delete your cell phone? In other words, preserve your phone.
Subsequent to me upgrading my phone, I spoke with the DA's office. So after that, they told me via a phone call that that was the case.
So your testimony is you never received the notice that I just read, but you did talk to the DA and he told you to preserve, you were on notice that you were to preserve your phone.
After.
I didn't want to say that, Mr. Albert. My question is, did you have the conversation with Mr. Lowry?
Yes.
Okay. When was that conversation, sir?
So I don't have the exact date of the conversation. I'm not sure.
Who did you talk to on the phone exactly? Was it Mr. Lowry alone or was it a conference call?
It was a conference call.
Who else was on that conference call?
I believe Steve Nelson and other witnesses in the case were on the conference call.
Can you name those witnesses for us?
I believe it was Brian Higgins. I believe
Wow.
Jen McCabe.
Wow.
And maybe somebody else, but I can't
Who initiated that
Wow.
conference?
I believe it was somebody.
Wow. All of you were on a conference call? As witnesses in the case, you're not supposed to know what the next motherfucker's doing or saying or what? Wow. You guys, wow.
In the DA's office. So either Mr. Lally or Steve Nelson, somebody like that.
Did everybody just call into a central number, a conference line?
Yes.
And what exactly did Mr. Lally say to you during the course of that conversation about preserving your phone?
During the conversation, Mr. Lally said that the defense had filed a motion to ask for the phones to be preserved.
And anything else?
That's what I remember him saying.
Did you volunteer that, oh my goodness, I just upgraded my phone last week, convenient. I don't have that phone anymore.
No.
You didn't say that to Mr. Lally?
No.
You just took the information that he gave you and hung up the phone and went about your business?
Yes.
Without notifying him that the very phone that he had just ordered you to preserve had just been destroyed days earlier.
No, the phone wasn't destroyed. I upgraded the phone.
The data was destroyed, sir. Correct?
I did not destroy any data on any phone.
Mr. Albert,
I upgraded my phone.
when you upgrade a phone, you know that the phone is set back to factory reset before your new phone is handed to you, correct? Happens every time.
I don't know that.
So if you have personal texts with your doctor, personal communications with Mr. Henning, your lawyer, you're just going to hand that to a pimply-faced kid at Best Buy and say, here's my phone? You know that data is destroyed when you upgrade your phone, right?
I think some things are come over across contacts, things like that. So I don't know that for sure.
You can back up your data, sir, but the phone data is destroyed for all purposes. It's factory reset, correct?
Yes.
I don't know that.
How long do you have a phone? That's an iPhone.
Years,
How many times have you upgraded your iPhone?
multiple times.
Every single time you upgrade it. You know that the phone prior, the data is destroyed on it, correct?
Usually my contacts come over and my photos come over. So
that's a backup.
no, I don't think I have that on backup, but okay.
Irrespective, you didn't tell Mr. Lally that you had gotten rid of that phone.
I was not asked that and I didn't tell him that.
I see. You felt like if you weren't asked that, you didn't need to volunteer it, even though the conference call was specifically about preserving your phone pursuant to a judge's order,
Dirty.
correct?
What was the question?
You didn't offer to Mr. Lally that you had gotten rid of the very phone that he was telling you had to be preserved due to a judge's order.
I did not.
And you didn't seek any advice from, I'm not asking you for the communications, you did not seek any advice from counsel at that time for those purposes.
I don't believe I did, no.
Yeah, I just wondering.
Sure.
At some point, you indicated, Mr. Albert, at another proceeding, under oath, in relation to a conversation that you had with Brian Higgins about your phone. Quote, I don't recall saying I was going to get rid of my personal phone to Brian Higgins. I may have said that, there's personal stuff on my phone, but I don't recall saying that to him, but I don't know. We had multiple conversations about things. Remember saying that under oath at another hearing?
Yes.
You literally admitted at that hearing, there's personal private data on that phone. Hence, you got rid of it, right?
No.
You certainly wouldn't allow some kid at the AT&T store to have your personal private data. You're a cop.
No, I assume he doesn't have it
Why would you assume that?
because he took the phone and has it.
And what do you think happens to the data on the phone, sir? Let's just use common sense. What do you honestly think happens to the data on the phone when you turn it in and upgrade your phone?
I'm sure that the data's not there anymore. I'm
It's
sure.
destroyed, sir, correct?
I don't know that for a fact.
Oh my
I know
God,
that some things are transferred back to the new phone.
You just said, you know, the data is not there.
Some data, I guess, isn't. Yes.
No, that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Lally, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take a short recess. I'm going to let this witness, if he chooses to have a few minutes.
Oh, he's going to choose to. Dirty, dirty, dirty.
Thank you. Maybe see put that.
All right. Can you stand, please?
And he's going how much longer?
All right, Mr. Jackson, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, that's an
Mr. Albert, you were
hour.
notified by the Commonwealth that on September 23rd, 2022, a judge specifically ordered you to preserve that phone and all its data, the phone ending in 0888. Is that right?
Yeah, at what time are you asking me that I was notified?
That day or the next?
On the 23rd?
23rd or the 24th of September?
No.
Isn't it true that you were provided a letter by the Commonwealth
So,
that
like,
stated the following? Your Honor, if I may read this?
2 hours?
Yes, this one,
Hours?
Jackson.
Thank you. Quote, you are hereby notified that the defense in the case of Commonwealth versus KARENREAD, Norfolk Superior Court criminal case number 22-117, has filed a motion pursuant to Mass R. Crim P. 17 for the production of any cell phones that you used between January 28, 2022 and February 28, 2022, and or any data associated with those cell phones. The hearing on this Reed's motion will be held on October 3rd, 2022 at 2 p.m. in courtroom 1 of the Norfolk Superior Court. You may be heard on the motion at that time. You are hereby placed on notice that these cell phones are the subject of pending litigation, and you must not alter, delete, destroy, or in any way manipulate any of the electronic data associated with the cell phone at issue. You received, end quote, you received that notice on either the 23rd or the 24th. Is that right?
I did not.
Your Honor, I would pose a stipulation. I spoke with counsel off the record, if I may.
You both have a stipulation that I haven't seen?
Just determined I'm happy to approach it.
Why don't we approach quickly?
Oh my God. Come on. Yeah. The way she's looking at him is fucking funny. The way she looks at all those witnesses, I don't blame her though. Fucking blame her. Can't trust nobody.
Madam, yes, I would offer the following stipulation that on either September 23rd or September 24th, the Commonwealth sent a letter on Commonwealth letterhead to Mr. Albert's attention, stating exactly what was just read into the record pursuant to the court order dated September 23rd, 2022.
Okay. All right, next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. Isn't it true that you were in fact ordered to preserve your cell phone by the Commonwealth?
At some point, I was made aware of that, yes.
All right, let's just get to the brass tacks. Where's your phone?
My phone was upgraded and traded in for a new phone.
Your phone was upgraded and traded in for a new phone?
Yes.
Okay. Another way to say that is you traded your phone in and got rid of it, correct?
I traded my phone and upgraded it. Yes.
When did you get rid of your phone ending in 0888?
I upgraded my phone in September, third week of September, maybe around 22nd.
The 22nd of September.
I believe so. I can't be sure the exact date.
So according to you, you got rid of the phone that was the subject of a court order preservation the day before it was ordered preserved.
Ooh.
Rephrase the question, please.
This order was just stipulated. This order is dated September 23rd, 2022. It was just stipulated that on the 23rd or 24th, you were then sent a notice to preserve the phone. And your testimony is on the 22nd, the day before this all happened, you upgraded your phone and got rid of it in total, correct?
I upgraded my phone on
'Cause they've been
and around the
checking
22nd.
filings.
Yes.
And you knew that all of the data on that phone would be factory reset and
Checking
destroyed.
the filings,
Objection.
searching the filings.
Do you know that, sir?
I do not know that.
How many times have you upgraded your phone in your iPhone?
I'm not sure. 4 or 5 times maybe.
You're aware that when you turn a phone in and you upgrade it, the phone that you turn in, that data is factory reset, meaning it's gone. It's destroyed off of that device, correct?
Well, I think some data transfers and some doesn't.
We're not talking about a backup. I'm talking about the physical phone. That physical phone becomes a brick when you turn it in, correct?
Correct that it becomes a brick? I don't know.
It becomes effectively a brick. There is no data left on the phone. I'm not talking about backup data onto a cloud. I'm talking about that phone.
So the old phone, yes.
Yeah, it's just everything on it's destroyed, correct?
Right, although some of the data transfers to your new phone.
And you're aware that the very data that you were ordered to preserve would have been destroyed, according to you, the day before,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Rephrase your question or ask me a question.
Oh my God.
Are you claiming that you got rid of your phone on the 22nd?
I upgraded my phone around that. I'm not sure if that's the exact date, but yes.
So it could have been after the 22nd.
I don't think it was after the 22nd.
Could have been the 24th?
No.
Could have been the 25th?
No.
So you're absolutely sure that you could not have upgraded your phone and gotten rid of it anytime after the 23rd when this judge ordered that it be preserved?
No.
Because you know that if you got rid of that phone after you had been notified that you were ordered by a court to preserve it, you'd be committing a felony.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
So you now claim that you got rid of the phone on September 22nd, 2022, hours before you were ordered to preserve it. That's your testimony, correct?
Yes.
Is that just a coincidence?
September 4th was my birthday. The phone was broken and failing. I had planned on getting a new phone, and that just happens to be the day that I got it.
Happy birthday. Was that a coincidence?
Happy
Objection.
birthday.
Sustained.
You were asked at another
I
hearing
love his snarkiness.
in June of 2023 that exact question, correct? Whether it was a coincidence. Do you remember that?
I don't.
You recall being asked, quote, so it's just a coincidence that within minutes, hours, or
Objection,
days,
Your Honor.
Let's hear the question first.
within minutes, hours, or days of you trading in your phone, that phone you had in January of 2022, that you were ordered to preserve it? Answer, yes. Question, that's a coincidence? Answer, yes.
Objection. Move to strike.
I'll let that stand.
That was your testimony, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that's what you're saying today to these jurors. Just
Yeah.
a coincidence.
Yes.
It was just a coincidence. Well, guess what? There are
Did
no
you and Brian Higgins
coincidences.
agree with each other that you were both going to get rid of your phones?
Objection.
I'll allow
Yes.
that.
No.
Yes.
You
Yes.
told,
Yes.
you testified at the other hearing in June of 2022, quote, I don't recall saying that I was going to get rid of my personal phone to Brian Higgins. I may have said that. You know, there's personal stuff on my personal phone. I don't recall saying that to him, but I don't know. We had multiple conversations about things, end quote. Remember testifying to that?
Yes.
Why
So
would
you're not ruling out the fact that you may have told Brian Higgins that you intended to get rid of your phone, correct?
No.
You're not ruling out the fact that Brian Higgins may have told you that he intended to get rid of his phone.
No, I don't remember him saying that to me.
Your testimony was, quote, I know there were conversations about the phones. I just can't say if he was
Did
going to
Olin
get rid of
get
his
a
phone or
new
not.
phone
End
too?
quote. You testified to that, didn't you?
Yeah, I have no idea what he was going to do.
I'm asking, are those your words? Did you testify to that under oath?
Yes, although I don't know the context of the time that they were asking that question.
June of 2020.
No, not the date of the hearing, but when they were asking if and when that conversation took place.
Does it really matter? When it took place?
I think so, yes.
When you talked to Brian Higgins about getting rid of your phones, when do you think you had that conversation?
I don't think I talked to Brian Higgins about getting rid of my phones.
Well, you just said you can't rule out the fact that you had conversations with Brian Higgins about your phones and possibly getting rid of your phones. Right?
No, I don't think that's what I said.
You two discussed the fact that you both wanted to get rid of your phones.
I don't remember having that conversation with Brian Higgins at all.
Your testimony was, quote, I know there were conversations about the phones, sir. Correct?
Correct that that's what you're reading.
So if you're having conversations with Brian Higgins about the phones, what the heck were you talking about?
I don't know the timing of when they asked when those conversations were.
Mr. Albert,
So
I'm leaving it open to you. I don't care when it was. I'm asking you, have you ever had a conversation with Brian Higgins about your phones, respectively?
we may have, I can't remember that conversation specifically.
Then why, in June of 2023, did you testify, I know there were conversations about the phones with Brian Higgins, end quote?
I'm not sure of the context of that.
So now you just can't remember.
No, I don't think I could remember during that testimony either. I think if you read the whole thing, I think I said I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Your quote was, I know there were conversations about the phones. I just can't say if he said he was going to get rid of his phone or not, end quote.
Right.
Does that help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
So now as you sit here and you answer my question, did you and Brian Higgins have a conversation about your phones?
I don't remember having that conversation with Brian Higgins.
Oh my God.
All right, let's shift gears.
Keep looking down, sir. Keep looking down.
Before I shift gears, you're aware that Brian Higgins has also gotten rid of his phone, correct?
I am not aware of that until after the time you're talking about.
So without qualifying your answer my question. As you sit here, you're aware that Brian Higgins has also gotten rid of his phone.
I know at some point Brian
Yes
Higgins.
or no, Mr. Albert?
Did he?
Objection, Your Honor.
Can you answer that, yes or no, sir?
Yes.
Now I'd like to shift gears and talk a little bit about Michael Proctor. Did Michael Proctor come into your home at 34 Fairview on January 29th?
Yes.
Michael Proctor? Let me rephrase the question. I want to make sure I'm not trying to Officer Lang, Officer Good.
Right.
Michael Proctor from the Massachusetts State Police. Did he come into your home on January 29th?
He conducted an interview with my wife, and I don't remember if it was the 29th or the 30th. That's what you're asking.
Wasn't that interview on February 3rd?
I feel like it was earlier than that, but it could have been February 3rd.
Okay. Presume for purposes of my question that it was February 3rd that Michael Proctor interviewed your wife. Then he would not have come into your home on the 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st, or 2nd.
Right.
And you know from your training, obviously, as a first responder, the first 48 hours of an investigation are absolutely critical, correct?
Objection.
Do you know that, sir?
Yes. Yes.
In that context, I don't.
Okay, next question.
I mean, you're aware there's a TV show called First 48.
Objection, Your Honor.
Do you think the first 48 hours of a criminal investigation are critical?
Objection.
You do know that the longer you wait to properly investigate anything, the better chance that evidence can be manipulated or destroyed, right? You agree with that?
Yes.
Did an investigator or any forensics team ever come into your house, ever, to photograph your entire home?
No, I wish they had.
Did an investigator, yeah, me
Well,
too.
yeah, stop with that. I
Objection,
wish they had bullshit.
Did an investigator or
It
forensics
doesn't
team ever come into your
sound
house
like
to search for physical
conceiving or,
evidence?
No.
or
Did an
convicting
investigator or
or
forensics team
whatever.
ever come into your
Yes.
house to search for trace evidence?
No.
Did an investigator or forensics team ever come into your house to take carpet
I
samples,
wish they
flooring samples
had.
from the basement, for instance?
No.
Nope.
And to this day, you're aware that that's never happened.
Yes.
Sir, you were in the Marines before you were a police officer, correct?
Yes.
You're a combat veteran?
Yes.
How long were you in the Marine Corps?
4 years.
During the course of your Marine and military training, did you have any training in hand-to-hand combat?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes.
In addition to your Marine training on the subject, did you also receive additional training from the police department through the academy or otherwise on basic hand-to-hand combat?
No.
So that's not part of the academy?
Not hand-to-hand combat. No.
Fighting techniques, use of batons, things of that nature?
Defensive tactics.
Defensive tactics. Okay, that's fighting, right?
Well, it's not hand-to-hand combat. No.
Okay, fair enough. I may be using the wrong word. It's physical, it's training on how to either defend yourself or control another person physically.
Yes.
I mean, they're not going to send you out there on the streets completely ill-equipped. They need to know that you know how to defend yourself and how to put somebody in custody that doesn't want to be in custody, correct?
Yes.
And that might include fighting.
Yes.
It could. Yes.
And beyond your Marine training and your police training, you're independently trained in techniques of fighting.
Have I boxed before? Yes.
And you've trained in boxing. It's not like you just walk up and smack a heavy guy, right?
You'd have to rephrase.
Hey, sir,
You
good to
trained.
see you.
You're trained in boxing. You're trained in fighting.
I've boxed in the past, and I've trained to box. Yes.
I mean, I get a heavy bag.
Right.
But I'm not a trained fighter. You're a trained fighter.
All right, so I'm going, there's an objection. You were standing, Mr. Lally.
Yes, sir.
Jurors, disregard that. Mr. Jackson, no comments, just questions, please.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, your boxing skills were featured in a TV show that you were featured in as well, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
No.
You were, in fact, no.
That they were featured in the show. No.
You were never shown on TV in a ring sparring with somebody?
I may have been shown training, but I don't think I was having a boxing match. No.
Okay, I wasn't suggesting that you were having like a paper.
My God, you're trying to like
It's a TV
get
show.
away from it.
Well,
Stop
that's
it.
not what you asked me, but if
Just
you're asking
say
me that
yes
now,
or
yes.
I'm asking you
no.
that now. I apologize. My questions are somewhat inartful.
Yes.
You understand the question now?
Yes.
And you have been shown, I use the word featured, you've been shown on television in a boxing ring,
Yes.
sparring.
If you're telling
I
the truth,
haven't
you
seen the
don't
video
have
in a
to
while. I'm not sure if I was smart.
Shit.
If we can, Your Honor, with court's permission, can we take a look at Exhibit 53?
Okay.
There's a clip.
That's what the
Starting at-
prosecution is there for, to clean it up.
It's time of day 11:47 and 15 seconds to 11:48 and 35 seconds, maybe a minute and a half. Can you enhance that? Pause. Do you see the two men in the foreground?
Yes.
Who are those two men?
Looks like myself and Brian Higgins.
Does it look like yourself,
Hey,
Brian
you
Higgins,
guys
or is that yourself? And Brian?
Sparring.
Yes, it is.
Would you go ahead and play that? Sorry.
Wrestling moves. Then they gotta wait until John looks around.
I've got one more clip to play, but I have a couple of questions, Your Honor.
Let's take it down and you can put the other one up after the questions.
Did you see what was displayed on that video?
Yes.
Had you seen that before?
Part of it, yes.
Is that what you and Mr. Lally went over in your preparation for your testimony?
I don't think that we went over it, but he showed me a quick clip of it.
When you say he showed you a quick look, did he ask you questions about it?
I don't think so, no.
Did you give him any answers about it?
No.
Any explanations?
No, just,
Just showed you the clip? And
yeah, I just said, yeah, it looks like we were fooling around.
Okay, so you did make an explanation. You given him
Yeah,
an explanation for it.
right. I said, I think we're just fooling around.
Okay, it's the same thing you told us this morning, right?
Yeah, just having fun with my friends and hanging out and fooling around.
You know, because it's the Blizzard ritual party.
Having fun with my friends, hanging out, just being silly.
Okay. Describe physically what you were doing in the video.
I was playing around, sort of getting in a boxing stance.
Okay. Otherwise known as a fighting stance, correct?
Yeah, for a second, yes.
Okay. And what did Brian Higgins do when you got into a fighting stance?
It looked like he was kind of doing the same thing. We just,
fighting stance as well, correct?
What about
Yeah.
when you grabbed
What
him
you
and
talking
kissed
about? Tell
him?
you talking.
Let's talk about
yeah, I don't know
that.
what we were
Was
talking
that
about. We
a
were just being
ritual
silly,
too?
fooling around, having fun.
When you
You giving
grabbed
him
him and
advice
kissed
on the
him?
proper way to get into a fighting stance or a boxing stance?
No,
You giving him some advice or some indicators about how to best position himself if someone is taking an aggressive stance against him?
no,
Is he telling you what he thought was a good technique for fighting the boxing?
I don't think it was that serious. We were just playing, fooling around.
But both of you were in fighting stances, facing off against each other, correct?
Yeah, for a second or two.
And Mr. Higgins, you saw him bob his head and then start walking toward you like a boxer might, correct?
Yeah, yes.
And then you got down, pulled your the pant legs up, and you squatted down to indicate getting low, having low center of gravity, correct?
That would that's indicating being silly.
Okay. And
That's
then at
not.
some point while you're being
That's
silly,
exactly
you then
kind of
faked
what
a
it
right
was.
punch toward him, correct?
I didn't notice that, but
You like grabbed him towards him and
I'm not sure.
freaking planted a kiss on him
At the next
while
part of this
the
clip, which is
decedent was looking
time
over
day,
at him. Like they were
11:55, 51 seconds.
peacocking the whole
I'm sorry,
night,
11:54 and 52 seconds.
trying to show their manlyhood. I think this is where they show the kissing.
Pause it. And highlight it. Okay, there's several individuals crowded around a table. Can you describe where you are and where Mr. Higgins is?
Brian Higgins is the guy on the right with the hooded sweatshirt and the emblem on the back. I have a pointer. Do you want me to use it?
That'd be great. That'd be great.
So that's Brian Higgins, and that's me.
Okay, we're going to play this.
You big burly motherfuckers playing grab ass and fucking peacocking in the fucking stupid ass thing, trying to flex.
Pause.
See,
You see what you just did?
oh,
Yes.
What did you do when you stopped his right arm?
What did I do?
What did you do? What are you doing?
It looks like I'm just being silly, fooling around.
Okay, I'm going to ask you.
Looks
a little
like
bit of
it- never
physics.
mind.
What are you doing? Why are you grabbing him from behind?
I don't really know.
Is that a wrestling hold?
No, I
Pause.
don't think so.
Control hold?
that's
No,
a
I don't think
pause.
so.
Is that some sort of
That's a
control hold that
pause.
you've used in the past?
Put a
You're
big
hugging somebody?
pause
No.
on that.
That's just a silly fooling around with my buddy.
Let's go ahead and play this.
Just being silly, fooling around with my buddy. And you ain't letting go, baby. and then you go
See
to
what Mr. Higgins just
grab.
did?
I did, yeah.
When you let him go, what did he do?
I don't know. He did some kind of, I don't know, he pretended to knee me or something.
Knee to the abdomen?
Yeah, I don't know if he made contact or not, but
Mr. Albert, I'm not suggesting by my questions that you two are actually in a fight.
Right.
I'm asking what he's doing. Does it seem to?
yeah, I don't,
It's replicating a
like
fighting.
practicing like techniques in fighting.
It
I don't know what his
doesn't
intent
matter.
was. It looks like he's just fooling around, just like I was.
But if a grown man walks up to you, grabs you from behind, and puts a knee up to your solar plexus, that's probably not the same as a high five, right?
Right.
What is your question?
In other words, it looks like he's practicing some sort of fighting technique.
Practicing? That's not how I see that.
How would you describe it?
I would just describe it as him fooling around. We're in the bar together. We're good friends, and we're just being silly and fooling. That's all.
There's a number of people in that bar. You would agree with that?
Yes.
You see anybody else in that video at any time getting physical with one another?
Objection.
How much of this video have you actually watched?
Not much.
Okay, then let me ask you a different question. From your memory of that night, who are the only two people in the bar that seem to be getting physical with one another?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
Sure. The only person I remember being physical with was fooling around Brian.
Okay.
Of course.
But just a little bit longer. Almost finished.
Yeah, when you grab him and kiss him, grab him around his neck and then kiss him. Then kiss him. Hold on. Kiss him. You got to kiss him. While John's looking at you, the decedent's looking at you. The decedent's looking over at you guys. Now hurry up and grab him and kiss him. This is the
Did you see the rest of
decedent.
that video?
Yes.
No question that you two are being friendly with one another, correct?
Yes.
You agree with that?
More than
Yes.
friendly.
There's also no question that of all the people in that bar, the only two people
You
that appear
grabbed
to
him
be
and kissed him.
imitating fighting are you and Mr. Higgins, correct?
In that video, yes.
And, is there another video? Do
Well, no, I just don't know what everybody else was doing in the bar.
you remember anybody else? You know, Julie Albert or
I don't remember.
Nicole get into a scrap with someone?
No.
That's just you two, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Albert, this is minutes before everybody headed to your house at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
Including
It was before
Yes.
the other dude was
Going back to the
calling
morning
on
of January
John to
29th.
Come on.
everyone had left your
Come
location.
on.
This is
Like
after
you wanted
you
to
already
fight.
arrived, had a couple
Get the
beers,
fuck outta
people started
here.
leaving. Everybody was gone from your location at about 1:45 a.m., maybe a little thereafter.
That seems right.
Caitlin being the last person. to
I
leave.
know. I'm
believe so,
sorry.
yes.
I'm not part of the circle of trust. It's a ritual. You just don't understand.
What did you do to get ready for bed, to settle in?
I went upstairs and just lied in bed. The TV was on. I was just kind of watching TV.
You have a nightstand?
I do.
Is it on your side of the bed or Nicole's, or you have one on each?
We may have had one on each in that house.
Put your phone on your nightstand?
No.
Where'd you put your phone?
The phone was in bed with me.
Yeah, he slept
So,
with this
your
phone.
testimony is that
This.
you get in bed
Okay, we're
after
gonna
being
get
unruly.
to some juicy fucking shit. Because see, after supposedly Karen ran over John and he was dying in his front lawn, there was some mysterious calls at like 2 something in the morning, and his explanation for that is a mighty ritual one too, because it's the circle of trust. So I can't wait for this. Oh, I can't wait for
Road
this.
trip all day long, then at
No.
restaurants, at bars, then at a get together at your house. And when you go to bed, you don't charge your phone.
I had the phone in the bed with me.
Why would you have the phone in bed?
Why would you
We have 5 kids.
phone in bed
And,
with you?
if somebody was trying to call, if I needed to reach them, it's just kind of a habit I do. I put my reading glasses and my phone in bed with me.
You're such a lie.
You don't charge it.
Sometimes I charge it, but not as a routine, no.
So you're worried about having your kids out. They might need to get a hold of dad.
Because you
So
had
you make sure
your
the phone is
butt
nice and
dial
close.
and butt
So you just run out
answer.
of batteries.
Well, if it's dying, then I'll put it in the charger. But if not,
Or
I just
answer it
leave it on
while
the bed.
you're making love to
That
your
night, the phone
wife.
was on the bed.
I mean, no.
I remember the phone being on the bed.
Doctors are
You
great.
have a specific recollection from 2.5 years ago about the state of the battery charge on your phone such that you know it was in your bed that night.
No, I just know as a routine, I keep my phone in the bed with me.
That's not what you just said. You just said it depends on whether or not the battery needs to be charged. It's whether or not you charge it.
My answer is that sometimes I, of course, charge my battery,
Of course you
but I sleep with the phone in my bed.
Every single night?
Yes, mostly every night.
It's,
I thought you just said 4 questions ago, it depends on whether or not the phone needs to be charged. Sometimes you keep it in bed, sometimes you put it on the charger.
If the phone needs to be charged, I charge it, but I sleep in bed with my phone.
Mr. Albert, did your phone need to be charged that night?
I don't remember if it did, but I slept in bed with the phone.
You've been on a road trip most of the day, correct?
Yes.
You've been out at bars that night, correct?
I can't
Mm-hmm.
wait for this.
Yes.
You weren't charging your phone. We saw the video. You weren't charging your phone at the bar.
Right.
So when you got home, clearly put your phone on a charger, didn't you?
But I did not.
So if your kids need to get a hold of you, why would the phone being in your bed be an assistance to you instead of just on the charger of the nightstand?
That's just what I've always done. I just keep it in my bed.
Why?
My wife does the same thing.
So now you've got 2 phones in the bed.
Yes.
Okay. And your glasses.
Yes.
Right between the 2 of you.
Yes,
Got it. Does your phone have a ringer on it?
it does.
Ever thought about maybe turning the ringer on just in case the kids need to get a hold of you?
Okay, I'm going to smoke.
Sometimes it's on vibrate. Sometimes it's on ring. It depends.
Yeah, depends on you.
It'll be
Put it on there.
in the chat.
Wouldn't that make more sense to go to bed, put it on ringer?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
All I can answer is that I sleep with my phone in my bed. That's just what I do.
And you know what I'm about to ask you, which is why you're saying you sleep with the phone in the bed, correct?
All right,
I
so that's sustained. That's stricken. Come on, Mr. Jackson.
All right. What else is in the bed with you? Your keys, your wallet, any other pocket items?
No.
Just the phone and your glasses
Yes.
and Nicole's phone,
Yes.
right between the 2 of you.
Usually, yes.
What about that night?
Yes.
Sir, did you make any phone calls after you went to bed between the hours of 1:45 a.m. and 6:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Who did you call?
I inadvertently called Brian Higgins.
What time?
I don't recall the exact time. After 2.
2:22 and 35 seconds. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Did you speak to Brian Higgins at any point between 1:45 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. that night?
No.
You say you inadvertently called him at 2:22 in the morning.
Yes.
How did you inadvertently call him?
Well, I don't know because it was inadvertent.
So I have to explain that.
Well, it's kind of like a butt dial.
I don't like about that. All right. How long have you used an iPhone?
In a long time.
As a matter of fact, you've been asked this question before, haven't you?
Yes.
Hence my question. You knew what I was going to ask you.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll withdraw. You indicated previously at a different hearing in June of 2023 that you were, quote, hanging out with your wife, and you must have butt dialed Mr. Higgins, correct?
Yes.
At 2:22 and 35 seconds on January 29th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
You were asked how that could have happened, much like I just asked how that could have happened, right?
Yes.
And in that hearing, you said, quote, I'm not totally sure. Similar to what you just said here.
Yes.
And here you added that it could have been a butt dial.
Yes.
You were then called back to that same hearing, but at a different date, an ongoing hearing, right?
Yes.
That was in July of 2023, correct?
Yes.
You then changed your testimony and said, and I don't mean to be indelicate, but your testimony was then that you were in an intimate situation, I'll put it that way, with Nicole at the time. And that's how you butt dialed Brian Higgins, correct?
I don't believe I said that's how I butt dialed Brian Higgins.
That's the time.
I think I said there was a time frame that was close.
Okay.
So I didn't say that, no.
What you said was you were in an intimate situation with Nicole at the time that the butt dial occurred, correct?
I'm not sure if you have something you can read me or show me.
Is it your testimony? Let me just ask. Is
Sure.
it your testimony that you and your wife were in the middle of some sort of sexual or intimate situation, and that's what caused you to butt dial the phone at that time at 2:22 a.m.?
Objection.
System.
I have to show you. I'm going to do this briefly. Oh, sorry. I just told you.
Yes.
May I approach you?
Yes.
So I just want to find out if this refreshes your recollection. Look at lines 11 through 13, and then let me know when you're prepared.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that you indicated at the other hearing that?
Just the first part of that first. Does that refresh your recollection?
It does.
Okay, now you can.
Thank you, Your Honor. Isn't it true that at the other hearing you indicated that at or around the 2:22 time frame, you and your wife were in bed together in an intimate situation?
Yes, around that time, I think it reads.
May I approach briefly, Your Honor?
Yes.
Well, with the court's permission, let me ask a couple of questions. Do you recall every call that you made between, say, 1:45 a.m. and the next couple of days? Do you remember every single one of those calls?
No.
Do you think it would refresh your recollection to look at a log of those calls during that time frame if we're going to discuss those?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'll show it to you. May I, Your Honor?
Yes.
That's 2 pages worth of documents. If it refreshes your recollection as we walk through this with the court's permission, let me know if you need to refer to that.
Right. I'm not going to be able to read it right now. I'll do it as you ask.
Correct. Yeah. You don't need to read it right now. You just wanted to have it in front of you. By the way, you've seen these records before, correct? At the other hearing proceeding?
I've seen some records before. Yes. I don't know if these exact records or not.
All right. And you've acknowledged that at least the first page, these are your phone records for the number ending 0888, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And these are call records from January 29th
Yes.
at 2:22 and 35 seconds in the morning, correct?
Yes.
Whose number ends in 5421?
According to this, it's Brian Higgins.
The call at 2:22 and 35 seconds appears to be 1 second in length, and that's from you to him, correct?
It says 1 second. I don't.
That would be the initial call from you to him, the one that you claim is a butt dial. Is that right?
Yes.
Did that call go to voicemail? And then you immediately hung
We
up?
got butt
No, I
dials
don't recall if
and
it- I don't know.
hanky
So according to
calls
you, it
and
was
all
a
that
butt
great
dial
stuff.
that went to his phone that somehow lasted 1 second.
Right.
Okay. Then there's a second call. If you look at the second line down, there's a second call at 2:22 and 52 seconds, 17 seconds later, correct?
Yes.
That call is actually from Brian Higgins to you, isn't it?
Yes.
You
And
butt
that call doesn't
answer.
last 1 second. That call lasts 22 seconds, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, you know how long 22 seconds is.
What's that?
You know how long 22 seconds lasts.
Yes.
So according to your phone records, you placed a call to him, and then 17 seconds later, he returned a call to you that lasted 22 seconds, correct?
That's what the records reflect, yes.
When you woke up in the morning, you obviously checked your phone. Did you not?
I don't know if I did.
Are you telling this jury that the call that came into your phone was a missed call, or did you answer it?
Right.
So it would have been a missed call.
I just know I didn't answer the call.
So it would have been a missed call.
I don't know. I don't know that to be a fact. I just know I didn't answer the phone call.
Okay.
I missed the call. Yes.
That's what I mean.
Right.
You missed the call.
Right.
It did something on your phone and you just didn't answer it. What do you do?
Right.
Okay. And again,
Or
you're
you were
using an
having
iPhone.
sex with your
Yes.
wife, as you claim.
If you butt dialed Brian Higgins and he called you back and you didn't answer, you would have a very bright red missed call in your call log, correct?
Objection.
Do you know that?
I don't know that.
Have you ever missed a call on your iPhone before?
Oh my God,
Yes.
And when you go to your
dude.
call logs, it says missed call in red, correct?
Yes,
Your wife
it's
called you
red.
missed call.
It's absolutely
I don't think
red.
I've ever noticed that it's in red. So no, I don't know that to be true.
You're certainly alerted to the fact that it's a missed call, that you've missed a call, correct?
If I were to go back and look at my incoming calls, it would probably say missed call. Yes.
And of course, if we asked you to show us your phone and show that that was a missed call,
You couldn't do that because it's
because you've gotten
destroyed.
rid of that phone, correct?
Objection.
Did you tell anyone in law enforcement that next day that oddly Brian Higgins was calling you at 2:22 a.m. and you missed the call?
No, I wasn't aware of that call.
If a call went to voicemail on your phone, you would get that voicemail, correct? You get notice of it.
If I checked my voicemails and there was a voicemail, I would get it. Yes.
That's my question. Did you get a voicemail from Brian Higgins?
No.
Which means he didn't leave a voicemail.
Right.
It suggests that you answered a call, correct?
Objection.
Let's talk for a second about this butt dial. You went to bed and you closed and your phone was you closed and locked your phone, correct?
Yes.
I don't want you to tell me what the passcode is, Mr. Albert. That's important. I want to
Actually,
make sure you understand. I'm not asking you to tell me what the
he's all
passcode
over
is.
the place, and that's for a reason. He's trying to trip him up because he's being so evasive about his answers. Like he doesn't, and he's prepared for his testimony, so he doesn't want to go in chronological order in order for that to take place. When a witness has made several statements prior to, that's usually their go-to. But if say a suspect never talked, then they go chronological order because they don't, you'll get the best answers this way. And he's a cop, so he has to be all over the place because he's a cop. You gotta treat him.
But at the time, was your passcode a 4-digit
When they're sneaky snakes, you gotta be a sneaky snake too.
or 6-digit passcode?
4, I believe.
And that locks the phone when it's not in use, correct?
The phone will lock after it's not used for a while. I don't know the exact timing of it.
You're exactly right, Mr. Albert. I said it backward. The phone automatically locks. You have to use the 4-digit passcode to unlock it, correct?
Well, no, I also have face recognition too, so we can open that way without any passcode.
We'll get to that in a second. The phone locks when it's not in
So
use,
you're
correct?
telling
Yes.
me
Make a
you're
call.
having sex faces and you were able to unlock your phone? For fuck's sake. Oh my God, I can't. I fucking can't.
Once you open the phone, either through facial recognition or through the passcode, then you have to tap on the phone app in order to open up the phone app, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Once you open up that phone app, there are only 3 ways that you can initiate a phone call: favorites, recents, and contacts, correct?
I don't know that.
Trey.
If you tap on a contact, that opens up the contact page or the contact app, right? You know that.
Yes.
Dude,
There are
I
your
swear to
contacts.
God.
Yes.
They're alphabetized.
Yes.
You have to either scroll through or do a search and type in the name of the person you're looking for.
Right.
You didn't do that, did you?
No.
Cops
If you
like
tap favorites, if you have favorites listed, there's a list of favorites. You have to scroll through and tap the one that you want to call, correct?
I think so. Yes, I'm not totally aware of that, but
See, and
And
he
if you
won't
tap
let
on
him.
recents, those are the recent
And
recent
that's the
calls that
funny
you have,
thing
either
because
received or made.
he's a sneaky snake.
And of course, you have to
He won't let him trap him, and when he's about to make a misstatement or he doesn't know what he said prior to because they concocted the story, so he's trying to stick to like the story they made, not go anywhere else. He always says, oh, it was around that time, I'm not sure. So that way he can adopt the answer. You get what I'm saying? So just like when they asked about, so earlier he asked if he knew Karen Read, and he's like, no, I've never seen or met her before. Oh, and maybe I had a conversation with her once, like either or, which one is it? He doesn't want to adopt his answers. He's all over the place. He's a sneaky, conniving snake, son of a bitch cop that's trying to pin what he fucking did on somebody that don't deserve it. Cops like him make other cops look bad that actually, you know, do their job and are to the book and shit.
Tap on the contact in the recents list that you want to call, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, you would have to tap again to end whatever call you initiated, right?
Yes.
What are you doing? What was he trying to narrate what he does on his phone or what?
You don't just say goodbye. You got to say goodbye and hang up. You got to tap it to hang it up.
Right.
So would you agree, from a closed and locked phone, there is no physical
What do
mechanism
you keep looking
by
at,
which a
dude?
person can hit one button and make a phone call?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you saying that from your closed and locked phone, you inadvertently tapped your phone one time and that initiated a butt dial?
Yeah.
Objection.
Is that what you're saying?
That's
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's
Tell me what you're saying.
freaking hilarious.
How did you butt dial Brian
To
Higgins?
me,
I don't know.
that's hilarious.
I don't know that the
sorry.
phone was locked.
You
I
have to
could have been
do
looking through my
all
phone.
different sorts of
But
maneuvers
dial people often and make
to
inadvertent
use
calls.
your phone.
I could have hit a last call from him by accident, thus calling his phone.
So you were actually awake and on your phone at the time.
I was awake and I could have been looking at my phone.
Oh, see, here we go.
How'd you
I
miss the
could
call
have
17
been.
seconds later?
And my wife was in the room with me and we
you
were hanging out and
See,
I never got
Stop
the second call from
freaking
him.
out.
So I'm not sure what time he called. I'm not sure what I was doing at that second, but I don't know.
But it didn't go to voicemail.
Well, I didn't get a voicemail from him. No.
So it didn't go to voicemail.
Well, I don't know that don't know that it didn't go to voicemail. I just know that I didn't receive a voicemail from him.
So if you, okay,
I
so
mean, we're all guessing here, but I mean, he could have called voicemail.
we're not all guessing.
Well, you are because you don't know if he left a voicemail or didn't, or at least got voicemail and then hung up the phone.
Oh, but he does.
I think one of us
But
is
he
trying to
has
guess.
certain records.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. You know what? I want to see Councilor Sadler.
He's got certain records, sir. He's not asking you something he don't know, sir. You little sneaky snake. You little sneaky snake.
Are you now saying that your phone was open and unlocked at 2:22 a.m.?
I'm saying it could have been.
Are you saying that it was?
I don't know.
Mr. Albert, you were the only person that was there with your phone. Was the phone unlocked and did you make a call?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
Sure, I don't know.
And 17 seconds later, again, presuming you're the only person there with the phone, did you answer that call?
I did not.
How the?
You would agree that in order to answer a call, you can't just look at your phone to answer it. It has to be swiped physically, correct?
Yes.
I think you can hit. I think it comes up green or red for the phone call, whether it's locked or not, and you can hit green.
Right, but you have to hit a button.
Yes,
Did you hit a button to answer a call
I
from
do.
Brian
I
Higgins?
don't.
He was
I don't need to
having
talk over you.
sex.
Please
You don't
let me
know.
finish my question. Did you hit a button to answer a phone call from Brian Higgins at 2:22 and 52 seconds in the morning?
Not that I know of.
You do know that that phone will not answer on its own, correct?
Yes.
And simply touching your butt will not answer that phone. It has to be swiped.
No, I don't think it has to be swiped.
You'd agree that a 22-second call from Brian Higgins had to have been answered by you. Isn't that right?
Objection.
Do you agree with that?
No,
Who else was in the room?
just myself and my wife.
And Chloe.
Yes, but Chloe's not a human, so it was myself and my wife.
By process of elimination, Nicole didn't answer that call, did she?
No,
Chloe, the non-human, didn't answer that call, did she?
no,
So who had to have answered the call, sir?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
I don't remember answering that call. Could have hit the phone by accident, causing it to answer.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on from this.
During sex, yes.
Your Honor, if I could have one or two more questions.
One more question.
Now your testimony is you could have answered the call, correct?
No, my testimony is that I don't know. You're asking me how it could have answered, and I'm trying to answer your question.
At a prior hearing.
You're not
in June
answering the
2022,
question. No,
you
you're
were asked
being
this
evasive.
exact question, and you answered, quote, yeah, it's only possible that it's me, end quote, correct?
I don't recall answering that way, but I'm not sure.
Because you
And
don't
were
want to
also
adopt
asked,
any of
after being
your own.
confronted with these records, quote, I guess I could have talked to him, meaning Mr. Higgins, correct?
I don't recall saying that. No.
Let's move on.
Did you have any conversation with Brian Higgins about a 2:22 a.m. phone call?
That next morning, while everything was going on, I mentioned to Brian that I may have butt dialed you last night. Sorry about that.
Did the two of you agree
Really?
that you were going to both say those calls were butt dials and you were going to cover up those calls?
Right.
You can answer that.
Right. You
We did not
looked at
say
the
that.
Story. Right.
But let's be clear, since then and now you've gotten rid of your phone, correct?
I upgraded my phone. Yes.
And since then and now Brian Higgins has gotten rid of his phone, and you're aware of that as well.
Yes.
By the way, you indicated that you were
I
awakened in
get
the
rid
morning
of
by
your
Jim McCabe
phones
about
if you have
6:30,
nothing to
correct?
hide.
Yes.
And when you woke up, you said you grabbed your phone to make a call. Is that right?
No.
The day
true
before
that
you were
you-
supposed to hand it over.
Grabbed your phone and made a call at 7:20 in the morning?
Yes. But that's not when I was awoken by my sister-in-law.
Sorry, that wasn't my question. After you were awake and you're up, you
Right.
started making calls. My question is, what was the first call you made at 7:20?
Can I look at this?
If that refreshes your recollection with the court's permission.
Yes.
At 7:20, I called Brian Higgins.
Mr. Albert, you have 6 siblings and 5 kids, right?
Yes.
You have in-laws, cousins, huge family, correct?
Yes.
But on the morning you find out that John O'Keefe is laying dead or dying on your lawn, the first call you made at 7:20 was to Brian Higgins. Is that right?
Yes.
Why?
The same person you had a call with, or at least the logs indicate you had a call with at 2:22 in the morning, correct?
Yes.
During that 7:20 a.m. call, did you two discuss the 2:22 a.m. calls?
No.
I thought you just said that you told him, oh, I think I made a butt dial.
Yeah, that was later in the morning when he came to the house.
Not on that 7:20 a.m. call.
No.
What did you talk about on that 7:20 a.m. call?
I informed him of what was going on at my house. We were out the night before, and I thought it was important for him to know what had happened.
Mr. Albert, I have a couple more questions about the phones, or the phone usage that morning and the day, throughout the day. You called Brian Higgins at 7:20 a.m. for 1 minute and 56 seconds, correct?
Yes.
Brian Higgins called you at 7:30 for 5 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yes.
You called Brian Higgins at 7:57 a.m. spoke for 12 minutes and 33 seconds.
Yes.
You then called your brother, Kevin Albert, at 9:40 a.m. and spoke for 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Yes.
Chief Berkowitz called you at 9:50 a.m. and left a voicemail. Is that right?
Wow.
He didn't leave me a voicemail, but I think he called me.
You called Chief Berkowitz back at 9:54, 4 minutes later, and spoke for 4 minutes and 40 seconds, right?
Yes.
You called Jim McCabe at 11:30 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
Jim McCabe called you back at 12:20 p.m. You spoke for 7 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yes.
You called Kevin Albert again at 2:01 in the afternoon and spoke for 8 minutes.
Yes.
You called Kevin Albert at 6:45. I'm sorry. You called Brian Higgins at 3:24 p.m. and spoke for 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Is that right? And if it refreshes your recollection, there's a second page, second log. You'll turn your attention to the 3:24 p.m. time frame.
Trying to find it.
Sure, we're trying to
Take
keep
your time.
up with everybody. If I was up the whole night before, I should the fuck wouldn't be.
What time are you
calling
referring to?
everybody all the
3:24
time.
p.m.
I
Stupid.
see it. Yes.
And there's a second call. You call Brian Higgins at 6:12 p.m. and speak for 1 minute and 7 seconds, right?
Yes.
And then the third one on that page, you called Brian Higgins at 6:35 p.m. spoke for 10 minutes and 12 seconds, correct?
Yes.
Turning back to your call logs, you called Kevin Albert at 6:45 on the next on that same day, spoke for about 16 minutes.
Yes.
Then on the next day, January 30th, you called Chief Berkowitz and spoke for 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Yes.
And the following day, you spoke with Jim McCabe, who called you at 8:04 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And finally, Chief Berkowitz called you at 1:48 p.m. on February 1st, right?
Yes.
3 days later, you spoke again to Brian Higgins at 8:48 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
The subject of these calls, Mr. Albert, were all about the fact that John O'Keefe was found dying on your yard, on your lawn, on January 29th, 2022. Isn't that right?
I don't know the subject of all these calls. No.
You had to have been talking about that event.
Of course, it was a horrible situation that was going on. Everybody was distraught, and there were a lot of phone calls. This call log doesn't encompass all the phone calls.
No, it doesn't.
There were a lot of phone calls being made to a lot of people because of this horrible situation.
And the point is, Mr. Albert, those many calls that you just described, especially as they pertain to Brian Higgins, Jim McCabe, Kenny Berkowitz, your brother Kevin Albert, were those many calls and efforts to get stories straight at the time?
No, absolutely not.
Were those many calls and
We're
effort?
going to interrupt the jury.
Yeah.
We're going to send the jury out. There's actually, why don't we take the lunch? I'll see counsel at sidebar.
All right, please.
You in the sidebar, bitch. What, you don't like the fact that he's making him talk about the cell phones, lady? Fucking bullshit. And don't give them the eye, Karen. You're supposed to look innocent, not give everybody the daggers. I mean, I understand giving these fucking losers the daggers, but don't be giving the fucking jury the daggers. I mean, just you gotta soften yourself.
She never asks me.
All right, so we'll have the lunch and recess then.
All right.
You are muted.
Yeah, she's protecting the fucking witness. God damn it. Okay. Coming back to right about there. Okay, maybe not. Right about there. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Okay, Mr. Wiley?
Thank
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, Riley's gonna talk his fucking ass off for 15 minutes. And then his
Good
little,
afternoon.
and then the homeowner's son's gonna hit the fucking goddamn.
You were asked some
yeah.
questions about the week prior to being at the waterfall. At some point, you were at the hillside, correct?
Yes.
You were there with friends and family. Is that correct?
Which is
Yes.
dumb to
You were
ask
there with
him,
vitamin
but
safety for the
they
defense,
gotta
correct?
ask
No, I
his
was not.
son. Did you
And
see?
Same with respect to the
Did you
waterfall on January
see
28th. You were there
Donald
with friends
keep
and family.
coming
Is
to
that
the
correct?
house? No,
Yes.
You weren't specifically there with
that's
Mr.
all
O'Keefe
I
for the
said.
defense, correct?
Okay.
No, they came unrelated to anything I was doing.
And you were shown some video from the waterfall from January 28th in which you were speaking at a sort of section of the table, correct?
Yes.
And was the defendant the only person in that section of the table?
No.
There were other people around her, behind her. Is
Oh
that
my
correct?
God, you can
Yes, it
see
looked like there
that
were other
on
people
the
at the table as
video.
well as situated right behind where she was sitting.
Oh, you were.
Those
He
other
was
people
looking
around her,
right
behind
at
her,
her.
those people that
You
you knew
dumb
fought
fuck.
that on January 28th and the defendant?
Yes, those are my relatives and friends, and that's why I was at that location.
Lally, you're dumb. You're a dumb fucking dude. He was looking right at her, talking to her, making himself all big and shit. And Brian was sitting there wishing that she talked to him, and he didn't talk to her. So Brian was like, hey, she's not talking to me. I got to tell you something, buddy. I got a problem. I got the hots for this girl. You know, we were texting, flirty texts. She kissed me, but it wasn't like a friend kiss. Bullshit. She may have put a peck on your butt, bullshit ass, and thought, oh, well, that was more than a friend because she kissed me on the lips type shit. And you went 5-stage clinger on her motherfucking ass, single white female shit on her ass, and she stopped texting you because you were being a creep. And at the time, you were, you know, occupying her time, making her feel like she's attractive, wanted, all that great stuff. But you weren't her who she wanted. You were who she wanted for the time fucking being. And when she ghosted you for fucking 2 weeks before this ever happened, you seen her at the waterfall, and she didn't acknowledge you and all that other shit. So like a half an hour before you leave, you're like, well, and then here's your friend helping you be a bully and peacocking. Let's show her how big and manly we are and shit. Why were our boyfriends right here? It don't matter. And then I'll just go ahead and plan a kiss on you because I wonder if he knows. Well, she told me he knew. So yeah, come on, dude.
You were asking questions about going over to Mr. J's house later on in the afternoon of the 29th, correct?
Yes.
Why did you go over there?
I went to Jen's house because she's my sister-in-law. She was going through an awful time that morning, as we all were. And I wanted to be there to comfort her if she needed anything. Because we're so close, I didn't want her to feel like this was too much for her to handle.
He has a husband.
I've known.
Okay, you had to comfort her. She has a husband to comfort her ass. Okay? Your whole relationship with her is cringy as fuck anyways. I'm just going to be honest. You've known her since she was 6 or 7. I mean, how long have you been grooming her there, bud? Just wondering.
Known Jen since she was probably 6 or 7 years old. She's like a sister to me.
Now, at your home on...
Look at him, like, look at everybody. That was like the creepiest shit ever. He was like, I hope they agree. I mean, I hope they understand. I hope they, feel sorry for me type shit.
Did you at any point in time go into the basement area of your home?
No.
Did Brian Higgins at any time go into the basement area of your home?
Not that I know of.
Did you see anyone go into the basement area of your home during the time that you were there after coming home from the waterfall?
No.
Now, you were asked some questions about your dog, Chloe, and that she wasn't great with strangers. What exactly did you mean by that?
All I meant was that she wasn't overly affectionate with strangers. She was a heavy dog. Not everybody likes dogs. So if there's going to be people at the house that don't know the dog, they might not particularly want her around them.
Were you more concerned about the people in the house that didn't know Chloe, or were you more concerned about Chloe herself?
The people in the house. Never has the dog, to my knowledge, been aggressive to anybody except for the time that there was a fight between 2 dogs.
Now, you were shown in Exhibit 66 that was sort of a drawing of your house. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Had you ever seen that prior to today?
No.
And do you recall specifically within the drawing or the artist rendering of your house, there were certain lights on around the garage and the front door?
I did notice that, yes.
Do you recall whether or not those lights were on when you came home from the waterfall on January 29th?
I don't recall, but oftentimes those lights are off, and sometimes the bulbs don't even work in them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And when Ms. McCabe comes into your bedroom sometime after 6 a.m. on the 29th,
Yes.
that was following a day in which you woke up in New York City and went to a funeral, is that correct?
Yes, I went to a funeral that morning in New York.
And that was for a fallen police officer from the New York City Police Department?
Yes, a police
And
officer in New
you
York that had been
drove all
murdered
that
while
day
on
to
duty.
get home and
that was his
drink
funeral.
all night.
And did you know that police officer whose funeral you attended?
Objection.
And you
No
got
objection, Sister.
you
Next
got
question.
freaking frisky with
Now,
John
with reference
O'Keefe.
to
Let's just be
you then
honest.
drive all the way home from New York to
Show
Massachusetts,
more of a
correct?
Yes.
fight than it is
And you went
showing
out
that
to
she
different
ran
places
him
after
over
the
with a
racetrack?
vehicle.
Yes.
And then went back to your home and went to bed sometime around 2
Just
a.m. or
because
so?
you have tail lights
Yes, after 2.
don't mean
And so
shit.
about how long had
She
you been
doesn't have
asleep,
no dents,
from the
no
time that
strips,
you
no
dozed off to the time that
nothing on
Mr.
her
McCabe
car.
comes into your bedroom that morning?
Only a few hours, probably 3-4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours.
Now, in relation to waking up that morning, you testified that you did not go outside, correct?
Yes.
And why not?
Initially, when I woke up, and I was
Her whole bumping into John O'Keefe's car that morning and busted her tail light. I mean, I could understand why he didn't have no bumps, no bruises, no scrapes on his car. But, you know, she cracked her tail light because she probably just hit that motherfucker right on the nose and it cracked her fucking tail light, but didn't bother his car. Because she didn't like bump it clear into space. I mean, you could see on the video that it got nut. I mean, that it you know, the tire went, you know, the vehicle went back and forth like it had been struck, but it wasn't like a really high miles per hour fucking crash. But you're talking about 22 miles an hour going backwards, and all you have is a busted taillight going against a human? No.
told what was going on out front. I looked out my window, and I saw some emergency vehicles. I did not see John at that time. I came downstairs with my wife, and she asked, where was John? And Jen said that he was.
Sustained.
You can't
Next
say
question.
what she
What
said.
was your understanding of where Mr. O'Keefe was when he came downstairs?
Objection.
Ask it differently, Mr. Lally.
In reference to when you came downstairs, what was your understanding of medically what was going on outside?
Objection.
The objection,
Lally's
Sister.
Was there
gagging.
any reason for you to go outside of your house at that time?
No, there was not. At that time, there was no victim out in front of my house. So there was no first aid for me to give. There was nothing I could do.
You were asking questions about the sort of bulkhead in the back of your house, correct?
Yes.
Where is that bulkhead in relation to the bay windows of the kitchen that you were testifying about?
So the bulkhead door is directly under the bay windows in the kitchen. The bulkhead door opens up
Him?
almost directly into the windows, obviously without hitting them, but it opens up into the front of the
Did
bay windows.
you
What
do
you
the
saw as far as
Catholic?
that video that was shown to you, that's not what the bulkhead looked like. That's not what the door looked like at that time on January 28th to 29th, 2022.
No, those are not the doors we had.
And as far as the bulkhead was concerned, when that bulkhead was opened around that time, what if any kind of noise would that bulkhead make?
A loud creaking, old rusty metal sound when you opened it.
Is that something that if it was open and you were in the kitchen area, you could hear?
Could be
Yes.
on
Now,
rebut.
in reference to that bulkhead, what if any security or what was it open? Was it locked? How was that left?
So the bulkhead door was shut and it was broken. So sometimes you could turn the metal thing to lock it, and sometimes it would be hard to do. But the wooden door that goes into the basement has a lock on the doorknob. That is a door that we keep locked because we don't use it.
Now, as far as from the bulkhead, you were shown in that video a gate that opens up to the front yard area of the house. Is that correct?
Yes.
What if any other gates are located on the fence in your backyard?
So we also have a gate on the rear part of the fence. And there's also a gate on the opposite side of the house.
And the gate in the rear area of the fence, where does that lead to?
So that leads to some woods, and then eventually you'll hit some train tracks.
Now, with respect to your phone, that was something that you had upgraded prior to any notification you received from the district attorney's office or anything in relation to preserving the phone. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, with respect to that, as far as the information contained within the phone, there are certain types of information. Are you familiar with being sort of backed up by the cloud?
Yes.
Would that include calls?
It could.
Could that also include text?
Yes.
Could that include photos?
Yes.
Could that include contacts?
Yes.
And the information that you were shown as far as certain call logs or call records, as far as you know, was that generated after that September 2022 date?
Yes.
Now, with respect to the preservation, that was in regard to a motion the council had filed for your physical phone, correct?
Yes.
Are you also aware of a judge's order denying that repeatedly as far as them gaining access to your physical phone?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, it was denied on multiple occasions.
I'll strike the multiple occasions.
you were asked some questions about Boston, correct?
Yes.
Lally, you're not
And
doing a
the
very
boxing that you
good
did, that was
job
in
of
relation
cleaning
to
it
a
up
group,
here.
associated with the Boston Police Department, is that correct?
Yes.
And what was the last time that you were involved in any kind of actual boxing match?
20, close to 20 years ago.
Now, with respect to some of the training that you were talking about, with respect to the Boston Police Department, you were given some
Why are
training as
you
far as
saying
defensive tactics,
no
is that correct?
when you
Yes.
said 20?
Is that something that is standard
20
that
years
is sort
ago?
of given and administered to every Boston police officer?
Yeah, so
20
within the
years ago,
academy, you go
like, you didn't
to
even-
the defensive tactics training.
Why are
That
you
would include
looking
the
at
Nazis,
the?
correct?
That's so
Yes.
weird that you're looking at the fucking jury now. You should have
Now,
been
as
looking
far
at the
as
jury
your
all
house,
throughout this motherfucker, not
We're
just
used to
now.
at 34 Fairview Road. What, if anything, did you observe or
Get
notice
me
with
off this
reference to
stand,
cell phone
please.
reception in that area?
Get me off the stand.
So oftentimes, using the phone within my house, it seemed like it was and it's a slang term, the dead zone for the phone. The reception wasn't great.
And is that something that recurred over the time that you lived there?
Yes.
Now, with reference to the phone, and prior to the intimate moment that you shared with your wife sometime after 2 a.m., do you recall whether or not the phone screen
God,
was
he
locked at
does
that time? Were you
weird
checking
stuff
that
with
at
his
that
mouth and
particular time?
everything else.
I don't recall the exact timing, but I know it was opened sometimes and then it was closed, obviously, at some point, but I don't know the exact timing.
So the phone may not have been locked at the time that you began.
It
that
was
situation.
butt dialing,
They may not have
Lolly.
With reference to the
Just
call
like
on- phone
everybody
records that
in
you were
this
shown,
case.
the
It
best of your memory,
starts
is that the
butt
entirety of the phone
dial,
calls that you
then
made
you'll
around
hear
that time?
Jen McKay
No, it looks like
talk
it's
about
selective,
butt
people
dial.
and numbers.
You'll talk Darren
And with
Higgins
respect
talk
to
about
those
butt dials.
conversations, if you recall, what, if anything, in general terms, were you discussing with either those people in the logs or other people in general?
In general, I'm sure there was some
Kinda
discussion about
snowed.
the awful thing that had taken place, and there may have been other calls unrelated as well.
Can I have one moment?
Yes.
Mr.
Look
Albert,
at your phone.
on
then they
the early
would
morning of
know.
January 29th, 2022, did John O'Keefe ever come into your house that night?
John never came into my house that night. He would have been welcomed, and the defendant would have been welcomed with open arms
Oh,
had they come in.
stop
And I
it!
wish they had. I really do.
Stop
Were
it!
you ever even aware that John
See,
O'Keefe or the defendant?
see, you're trying to make yourself look honest. I wish that they did. No. Because everybody that knows the truth, that something nefarious went on and it didn't involve Karen in her car, wish that he didn't go into the house. Because I just have a feeling he did. Nobody searched your house, dude. So how are we to know? Just because, oh, well, this person and that person, how do you know that you weren't corroborating your statements? And then you get the cops on with you? Fuck. Because you're a cop too? It's a fucking shame. That family deserves real fucking justice. Not some bullshit. If you were any kind of a real fucking man, you would admit your fucking wrongs, but you're a bitch.
Were anywhere in the area of your house during that early morning of January 29th?
I was not.
I have nothing further on.
Very briefly.
Okay.
So fucking annoying.
So we talked about cell phone reception not being good in your house. When did you and Mr. Wiley talk about that cell phone reception issue?
What?
The cell phone reception issue in your house.
It came up during one of the preps.
Which prep?
I don't remember which prep,
Like
probably the last one.
But you only had one prep with Mr. Wiley.
Well, we had the prep before the grand jury, and then I had the prep for this trial.
Okay, so
So that's two.
so you brought up the fact that you had that cell phone reception in that preparation.
The conversation came up, yes.
Was Wiley taking notes?
I don't recall if he was taking notes.
Was this recorded?
I don't believe so.
And where did you say this conversation took place?
So the prep was at the district attorney's office, which is in Canton.
This morning when I asked you, you said you couldn't quite remember where.
Yeah,
You're right. I couldn't
Yeah,
remember this morning.
you
I
got
asked
it.
you. for
You
the
got
office, and now your memory is refreshed.
Yes.
What refreshed your memory between this morning and now?
I was just thinking about it in my head and reminded myself that it was the DA's office. You caught me off guard when you had asked me. I didn't have it at the top of mind.
Did you talk to Mr.
Yeah,
Wiley?
of course he caught you off guard because that's what he does. He's a sneaky snake like you. Except for he's more sneakier because he caught your bitch ass in a lie.
Over the lunch hour?
How much more would you lie about, sir?
Briefly.
If you could lie about something as small as fucking that, how much more would you fucking lie about? That woman's life is on the line. All her money is freaking gone because sick mother fudgers like you that hold a badge.
Bring up the fact that that cell reception in your house over the lunch hour?
Just now, no.
What did you talk about over the lunch hour?
Just what was how much time I was going to have left on the stand.
You
That
shouldn't
was really
be
about it.
So you and Mr. Wiley talked about the fact that you were talking.
Wow. You shouldn't be talking at all to the fucking DA while you're sitting on the stand. Wow.
Examination for 2.5 hours Your conversation consisted of probably got another 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think he was going to lunch or doing something. So
You didn't talk about the substance of your testimony.
no,
He didn't tell you what questions he was going to ask you on redirect.
Maybe mentioned one thing he may ask me, but that was it.
Like, what was that?
Just he was going to ask about what happened at the house in the morning. That's some of the questions on redirect. That's all.
Meaning he was going to ask you the question about whether or not John came in the house?
No, not necessarily.
He
Just
asked you about whether or not you had that cellar section in the house?
no.
What was he going to ask you?
He was going to ask about the morning of the incident, about coming downstairs and why I didn't go outside.
You're a dirty
Did he
son.
tell you what he thought would be helpful for the Commonwealth?
Nope.
Tell you how he thought you should answer that question?
No.
He did ask you about a situation concerning the motion to preserve, correct?
No.
I'm sorry. He asked you on redirect about the motion.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And he mentioned that there was a motion that had been denied for us to get, for the defense, to get access to your physical phone, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that that motion was denied in October of 2022, correct?
Yes.
Why she denied it, I'll never know.
Yes.
And the preservation order from the judge was still in place when you got rid of that phone, wasn't it?
No, I believe the phone was upgraded prior to the preservation. Or
Oh, right. The day before.
yes.
That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Albert, you are all set, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
Your next witness, Mr.
That's
Lally.
so cringy.
Yes, you want to call Brian Albert Jr. to
Thank
the
you,
stand?
Jerry. Let me get the fuck out of here. So cringy.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, the
at all.
papers that were left up there with the last witness, I don't think
At
are
all.
marked as anything. I just return the counsel.
Here goes the sun.
Do you solemnly swear the honesty of the court and jury in the case now against you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you.
He's nervous. I don't know why he's nervous.
Good afternoon, sir.
Really
Good afternoon.
wrapped up-
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
My name is Brian Albert Jr., and it's Albert.
And where do you live, sir?
I live currently in Norwood, MA.
And how long have you lived in Norwood?
I believe since I think it's about a year, since last May.
And prior to moving to Norwood, where did you live before?
I lived in Canton,
And where specifically in Canada?
34 Fairview Road.
And how long was it, sir, that you lived at 34 Fairview?
I'm going to guess, but I'm going to say maybe about 10 years.
And how old are you now, sir?
Yeah, shut up, Kevin. But at the same time, like it's still cringy as fuck. And he did walk pretty fast. Like he got out of there. I mean, when they took the morning break, he was like, "Thank God," just to get off the stand, and you could hear it, even though like you're not. Yeah, he said that shit under his breath. But then he slipped up. He said he talked to the DA in the middle of his testimony. That should not be allowed. It's so weird to me.
25.
And with respect to both where you live in Norwood and where you live in Canton,
Mhm.
with anyone did you live with?
Well, when I lived in Canton, I lived at one point with my 4 siblings, but then some of them moved out. And then in Norwood now, it's basically just me and my parents, and 2 of my siblings are at school.
But hey, Kevin, the new trial's coming up. We'll see how we'll see how he acts when this other trial, and that will mean he has testified 5 fucking times for this case. 5. And it's hard to keep up your lies. You know what I'm saying? It's just it is. It's hard. Or your truth, or you say you're telling the truth and it changes. It's like, okay, inconsistencies in your statements, if you stick on the same line, you're okay. But when then you try to unadopt your answers, like, oh, I think it was about this time, or may could or couldn't have been, I believe that way they don't perjure themselves. He knows what the fuck to do. He's been trained.
Until they come home in the summer and stuff.
And by your parents, your father's name is Brian Albert as well, is that correct?
Yes.
And your mother's name is Nicole?
Yes.
Now, you work, sir?
Yeah, I do. I work in IT.
And how long have you been doing that?
That job will be a year, maybe a year in August, I believe.
Sir, if I could turn your attention to the time frame of January 28th, 2000.
I will be shocked if they remember what the fuck they said this trial, because they can't remember things a year later. It seems like he couldn't remember grand juries and a year later and shit. It's so fucking weird to me.
22 into January 29th, 2020. Do you recall that Is there a time frame?
Yes, I do.
And the 28th and the 29th, do you know roughly what days of the week that was?
Maybe a Friday and a Saturday, I believe.
And with respect to 28th or the 29th, what if any?
There's 2
significance
hours
those
left of
dates
this.
have?
Yeah, so the 29th is my birthday. The 28th was the day before my birthday, obviously. So I had a few friends over.
Wow. So your dad killed somebody on your birthday? Oh, whoops. Sorry. Allegedly. Allegedly. My bad. So your dad and his friend decided to do what they did because I believe something happened. I don't think Karen hit him. And it's more leaning towards them two than anybody else. I'm just gonna be honest. Yeah. So, anyways, your dad and his friend decided to, do what they did and pulverize freaking John's face and carry him out, leave him there to transpire. There we go, or expire. And wow, what a nice dad you got! What a nice fucking dad you got
for my birthday.
And do you recall how old you were turning on the 29th of 2022?
That was what, 2 years ago? So I'd be 23, I think. Yeah, 23.
Now, in the week leading up to that weekend, what, if any, plans did you have with respect to sort of the night before and the night of the birthday?
Yeah. So I was kind of up in the air. I didn't know if I wanted to go out. I'm kind of a homebody person. I like to stay at home. So I was kind of up in the air. So my plan was to have some of my friends over to my house. We would eat, have a couple of drinks, and then I would decide then if I wanted to go out locally in Canton or not. So that was my plan. And then a few days before, that's when we found out that the snowstorm was actually going to happen, because you know how they always say it's going to snow and it never does. So then that kind of threw a wrench in it, but I was kind of like, well, we'll see what happens. And so we went along with the plan.
And that particular evening of January 28th.
He's already starting to itch.
That's at some point people came over your house, is that correct?
Yes.
And about what time was it that the friends first started coming over?
I would say my friends first arrived probably around 7:30 p.m.
Breathe in, breathe
And who were the
out.
first of
If
your
you
friends
don't,
that
if
came
you don't
over?
have nothing
The
to
first
hide,
two were Sarah
the
and
only
Julie.
lie you gotta
And
tell
just for
there,
record, Sarah's last
bud.
name is what?
Levinson.
And Julie's
The
last
only
name?
Nagel.
lie, hey,
And
the only lie you got to tell is that John never went in the house. That's all you gotta do. It's simple. I don't know why all this bullshit about do. I mean, I get why their names were there and who came in the house, when did certain people leave? When your sister supposedly left at 12:15. I'm not sure.
with respect to them coming over to your house, was there anybody else from your household, your family, or anybody else that was present when Sarah and Julie stopped by?
I believe when they first got there, my mom was still at the house. She hadn't left yet to go out where she was going.
I'm thinking his sister left with Chloe and left with Chloe that night or something. I don't know. It's weird.
You know where she was going that night?
I believe she was going to the Waterfall Bar and Grill.
You know who, if anyone, she was going there with?
Yeah, she got picked up by my Aunt Julie.
My Aunt Julie.
Now, Ms. Levinson and Ms. Nagel, how long have you known them?
I've known them, I would say, since high school. I think I was a sophomore and they're a year older than me. They were a junior. So probably a good 7, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years in between there.
And when they came over your house, what was it that you did?
Well, we were just hanging out. I had a few more friends who were on their way, so they came
What
after.
does it
And
matter
probably
what
around
they
8
were
o'clock, I would say,
doing?
8:15, they were there.
Birthday.
And we were just all hanging out, listening to music. We ate some food. I think we played some card games, just normal hangout stuff.
And over the course of this
Oh,
evening,
yeah, he's
did
got to
you
lie
yourself
about
and your
Colin,
guests,
too.
You also have some alcohol?
No, yeah, people were drinking, yeah.
Recall, generally speaking, what people were drinking?
Mostly like seltzers, like White Claws or Trulies and
It
stuff like that.
doesn't matter what the fuck
Now,
they
you
were
mentioned that some other friends
drinking.
came about a half hour or so after Julie and Sarah arrived. Is that correct? And who were they?
They are
It irritates the fuck out of me that he keeps on asking, well, what were they drinking? Like, one alcohol is less toxic as the next. Alcohol is alcohol. It gets you fucked up.
You want their full names or?
Please.
Okay. They are Catherine Duty. Catherine Duty. Trying to think. Emily Fabiano, Courtney Alba, and I think that's it that I can recall as I sit here.
And with respect to those other friends, how did you know them? How long did you know them?
I knew everyone from school. We all went to high school together. So the other ones were in my grade. So we were closer friends because they were in my grade. So I've known them for a long time.
And just to be clear, when you say from school, you're talking about high school?
High school, yes.
You went to Canton High School, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Now,
He's like, get this over with, please. Do. He's got anxiety like a mofo.
With respect to having your friends over your house, where sort of within the house were you all sort of hanging out?
We would all just kind of hang out probably, I would say, mostly in the dining room. The dining room and the kitchen were kind of like one big open space. So we would be like in the kitchen or the dining room. And sometimes I think we may have like walked into like the family room area, sat down for a little bit, but mostly it was just the dining room and the kitchen.
And the family room area, is that visible from the kitchen and dining room area?
There's a wall, but there is a doorway, door frame. So you can't see all of the family room, but you can see a good amount of it, yeah.
And as far as each of your prospective friends that you were testifying from over your house, do you have any idea how they got there?
No, I don't know. None of them drove. I know that, so I would assume that they got dropped off by someone, but I don't know.
So there wasn't like a pile of cars like out in front of your house at any point during the evening?
No, there wasn't.
Now, later on that evening, who, if anyone else, came by?
Well, my cousin Colin arrived at the house at some point, and then my mom and my dad and them came back from the waterfall back to the house at some point as well.
Now, with respect to your cousin Colin, his last name is Albert as well?
Yes.
How is he related to you?
He is my first cousin. He's my dad's brother's son.
And his father would be Christopher Albert, is that correct?
Yes.
He's older or younger?
Is Colin younger than me?
Yes.
Yes, he is.
About how old was Colin around this time?
Maybe 17, I think.
Was he in high school around this time?
I would assume so, yes.
And if you recall, how was it sort of that Colin came over to your house that night? Did he reach out to you at any point? Did you reach out to him?
Yeah, I don't exactly recall how I don't know how he knew that I was at my house, but at some point he did call me and said, "Oh, are you still at your house?" And I said yes. And he said, "Do you mind if I come by?" And I said, "No, of course you're welcome to come by."
And with regard to earlier at your house, when you indicated that your mother went out to the waterfall, she went out with Julia, correct? And that's your aunt?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I asked you about 3 different questions.
No, it's all right.
As far as Colin is concerned, Julia is Colin's mother.
Yes.
Do you recall about what time it was that Colin came by?
I don't recall exactly. I would say maybe closer, maybe 10:45, 11 p.m.
And as far as the other people at the house, the women that you had over, did Colin know any of them that you knew of?
Yeah, Colin knew some of them just from being in the same town. And Colin's older brother is just 1 year older than me. So Colin's brother is in some of the greatest, some of the girls that were there. So that's how he knew them.
And just to be clear, Colin's older brother was also named Christopher Albert.
Yes.
And now when Colin came over to the house, as far as the things that you were describing before, as far as hanging out, is that essentially what continued after Colin's arrival?
Yeah, he was just another addition. We just were continuing to do the same stuff, hanging out.
Now, with respect to within the home, you've mentioned sort of the kitchen, the dining area, and the family
Starting
room.
to get nervous.
Were there any other areas of the house that anybody went to during the course of the evening?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, there's a bathroom, but it's just off the kitchen. So I assume the bathroom. But that's really it. We didn't go anywhere else than that first floor area.
So mainly in the first floor, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you see anybody at any time go down to the basement?
No.
Did you see anybody at any time go upstairs?
Not to my knowledge, no.
You mentioned that at some points, your parents and some people that were at the waterfall came to your house. Is that right?
Yeah. So first a group of my friends had left my house, and I think that was probably around. They were only there for a few minutes while Colin was there, so I would say probably around 11:10. A few select people left the house to go home. So at that point, it was just me, Colin, Julie Nagel, and Sarah Levinson at the house until my parents arrived.
And so Courtney, Catherine, and Emily would have left at some point shortly after Colin arrived.
Yes.
And when your parents came home, if you recall, what was sort of the order of? Do you recall about what time that was?
I would say that would be right around midnight. I would say maybe 12:05, 12:10ish in that area.
And just turning back to Colin for a second, do you recall? Do you know how Colin came to be at your house?
Like how he was dropped, like if he was dropped off.
Yeah, yes. Did you know whether or not he drove there, was dropped off there, similar to the other people that you?
I know he didn't drive there, but I would assume he got dropped off. He didn't say how he got there though.
Right, so we'll strike. You don't know how we got there.
Okay. Yeah.
And as far as the order of people that arrived back at your home, who were the first people to arrive back at your home?
The first people to arrive were my mom, my dad, my sister Caitlin, and my dad's friend Brian Higgins.
Prior to that evening of January 28th,
I don't recall ever meeting him. I could have met him in passing, but I don't ever formally remember meeting him. No.
You recall ever seeing him at your house at Fairview Road prior to that?
I don't think he'd ever been there that I have saw. No.
And as far as Colin was concerned, when your parents and your sister and Mr. Higgins arrived, when in relation to that, when did Colin leave?
Colin was actually getting up and leaving as they were coming into the house.
And similar to, do you know how Colin left your house or how he, whether or not he drove or was picked up or anything?
Yeah, he was sitting at the table and I was actually sitting right next to him. And he stood up and said, "I'm leaving. Allie's picking me up." And so I knew who Allie was because she's my cousin.
And what is Allie's last name?
McCabe.
And she's your cousin as well, is that correct?
Yes.
She's Colin Albert's cousin?
She's not Colin's cousin. No, she's my cousin on my mom's side.
And so Colin would be a cousin on your father's side?
Yes.
And following,
I'll be in the chat. I'm going to smoke.
Where did they sort of congregate in the home?
In the same area that we were in the dining room, in the kitchen area. My mom got home and I know she went right to cleaning because she likes to clean. So she was in the kitchen picking up. And yeah, we were all just in that one area.
And following their arrival back at the home, who, if anyone else, showed up at your home that particular evening?
And then I would say maybe 10 minutes later, my auntie JJ, well, her name is Auntie Jen, but I call her JJ, and Uncle Matt arrived at the house.
Your Auntie JJ and your Uncle Matt, what is their last name?
McCabe.
And was that, their arrival, was that before or after Colin had left?
Colin had already left at that point, yes.
And so the alley that Colin was picked up by, what, if any, relationship does she have to your Auntie JJ and your Uncle Matt?
That's their daughter.
Now, throughout the course of the evening, well, let me ask you this, as far as, when was it that the last person who didn't live at your house on Fairview Road, when was it that the last person left?
The last, I wouldn't know I couldn't tell you the time. Well, the last people to leave were Auntie JJ, Uncle Matt, Sarah, and Julie. I don't know exactly what time that would be. I can't even guess. I don't know.
And you mentioned your sister, Caitlin, was that?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I was just thinking of her as my sister, like with sibling. So she didn't live in the house, so she was the last person to leave.
And prior to her leaving is when your Auntie JJ and Uncle Matt. And
Yes. Yeah.
so with respect to after your Aunt JJ and your Uncle Matt and Kate arrived at the house, who, if anyone else, came by the house that you were aware of?
No one.
Well, let me ask it this way. As far as anybody else following them actually physically come into the house?
No one else came into the house after them. No.
And at some point, were you made aware of someone out in front of you?
I saw someone outside of the house. Yes, a car.
And what was it that sort of drew your attention to the front area?
Yeah. So at some point, my friend Julie stood up and said, "Oh, my brother's outside." Her brother was there to pick her up, and someone made a comment saying, "Oh no."
No, but they said what happened as a result.
Okay. She went outside to talk to her brother, and so I looked out the window at that point. And she was outside talking to her brother, so his truck was there, and I saw another car there as well.
And with respect to your friend Julie Nagel, her brother, what is his name?
His name's Ryan Nagel.
And if you recall the time that Julie gets up and goes outside to talk to her brother, where were you within the house?
I was still sitting at the dining room table.
And with regard to that area of the dining room table, how was it that you were able to see out in front of the house?
There's two windows there, so I just turned around and looked through the blinds.
And when you looked through the blinds, what is it that you saw out in front of your house at that time?
Yeah, so I saw a truck, which was Julie Nagel's brother's truck, I believe, and that was a little ways, almost like in front of the driveway of the house, and then a little ways in front of it, there was another car that I hadn't recognized before. It was a dark SUV-ish, and that's all I knew about it and could see about it.
Now, similar to yourself, who, if anyone else from sort of a group of people, either in the kitchen or in the house, did you observe near a window or a door that was known at?
I believe my Uncle Matt McCabe noticed the car outside as well.
And with respect to the dark SUV that you didn't recognize and what you thought was Julie Nagel's brother Ryan's truck, was there anything in between the truck and the dark SUV that you saw outside?
Not to my knowledge, I didn't see anything, no.
And as far as the weather, when you looked outside, what, if anything, did you know about the weather?
It was definitely snowing. I wouldn't know how many inches, but I would say an inch or two of snow at that point.
Now, with regard to being out in front of your house, those two vehicles, do you recall which direction they were facing?
Yeah, they were both facing, going up Fairview towards Cedar Crest. So whatever this is, I don't know.
So let me ask you probably in a better way. As far as what was facing towards your house, was that the driver's side or the passenger side of each of these?
That would have been the passenger side.
And that's with respect to both vehicles, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, at any point in time during the time that these vehicles were out in front of your house, do you recall hearing anything or any sort of noises coming from the front of your house that drew your attention?
No, I didn't hear anything, no.
And as far as looking out the windows and seeing these vehicles in front of your house, how many times did you look at?
I believe I looked at that one time, and then I think I looked at one more time after that.
And as far as your friend Julie, if you know about how long was she out in front of your house at that time?
I would say not more than 5 minutes, more likely about 3 or 4 minutes she was outside.
And when did you see her outside in relation to the truck as well?
Yeah, I saw her at the passenger door of the truck.
Now, that vehicle that you observed that you didn't recognize, the darker black SUV, was that vehicle in one place or more than one place during the times that you looked up the window and saw?
Yeah, so the first time I looked, I would say it was closer towards the mailbox, maybe a little bit in front of the mailbox. And then the last time I looked out the window, it had moved further down, closer to, I'll say, the flagpole. So closer that way, it went down that way, towards the flagpole.
So closer there's an area in the front of your yard where there's flagpoles, is that right?
Yes.
Now, as far as when it moved, as far as the weather and the snow was concerned, could you see anything in relation to the roadway behind the SUV as it wanted to move from that initial position to the following position by the flagpole?
Yeah, I had noticed just some tracks in the snow, indicating that the car had moved up.
Now, your friend Julie, did she take that ride home with her brother Ryan at that time?
No, she came back in the house.
And as far as your friends Julie and Sarah, they were still at the house when people from the waterfall came home. Do you know how they happened to go home on that particular evening?
Yes, my aunt JJ McCabe and Matt McCabe drove them home.
Do you have any idea about what time that was?
No, not really. I'd be guessing. I would say maybe one something, maybe.
Now, with respect to your sister, Caitlin, who you indicated was the last person to leave the home that evening, is that correct?
Yes.
And were you awake or downstairs?
I don't know if I was downstairs when she actually left, but I was down there for a minute when she was the last one present at the house with my mom.
And do you know how she was leaving the house that night or how she was getting home?
Yeah, I believe her boyfriend was picking her up.
What's her boyfriend's name?
Tristan Morris.
Sir, if I could turn your attention to the following morning. At some point you go to bed. You know about what time it was that you went to bed?
I would say, I don't know, late 1, early 2 o'clock in the morning.
And your bedroom is in the second floor of the house?
Yes, it is.
And with respect to how many bedrooms are up on the top floor? Or what?
4, I believe.
And with respect to your bedroom, where was that in relation to the layout?
My bedroom would have been the middle back of the house. So I had 2 windows, but they were in the backyard of the house. So the middle, but the back side.
So 2 windows that from your bedroom face the backyard area?
Yes.
Now, at any point in time after you went up to your room, same question as before, were there any noises or anything that drew your attention outside of the home at any point prior to you waking up?
No, I didn't hear anything.
And if you know about what time was it that you woke up later on that morning of the 29th?
I can't recall the exact time. I'd say maybe, I know previous testimony I may have said earlier, but I don't believe it was that early. I would say 7:30, 8 a.m.
What was it that woke you up that morning?
My dad had knocked on my door.
And without anything specifically that you talked about, following that conversation, where did you go?
I just threw on some clothes and I went downstairs into the main first floor of the house.
When you came downstairs into the main first floor area of the house, who, if anyone, did you see?
Yeah, so when I went down there, it was my mom, my dad, my auntie Jen, and my uncle Matt.
And about how long were you down in that area of the home?
I would say the first time I went down there, I would say I was down there for maybe 15 minutes or so.
You said the first time you went down, were there subsequent times after that?
Well, yes, I went back up into my room after I was down there the first time, and then I came back downstairs. And at that point, there was no one there besides me and my parents.
And that second or subsequent time that you came downstairs, I wanted to know about how long it was after the first time?
I would say maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe.
Now, with respect to your birthday, as far as what, if any, sort of ritual or thing do you have with regard to your Aunt Julie?
Oh, yes. So my aunt likes to get me donuts. It started, I don't even know, probably when I was like in middle school. Because I used to really like donuts. So every birthday she would give me six donuts in a box and a card. And that was just our ritual. She would bring it over every day, every time it was my birthday.
Did you get it?
She probably does do that if it was
at some point on that particular morning?
Yes, I believe that when I went downstairs the first time, the donuts and the card were there already. So I had known that she had come by and dropped them off for me.
Cover up.
Did you physically actually see your Aunt Julie on that particular morning?
No, I didn't see her then.
May I approach?
Yes.
So I'm going to show you a series of 4 photographs. I just asked you to look at those yourself. And then
Okay.
And just generally speaking, do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes, this is my old residence.
Full residence at 3450 Road, is that correct?
Yes.
And generally speaking, what's depicted in those photographs, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what the house looked like around that time?
Yes.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Come up to seat to introduce the minutes next board exhibit.
Any objection, Ms. Little?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Exhibit 70 through 73.
Thank you.
May I return to the witness, Your Honor?
Just a place before you now can mark as exhibit 71, 72.
Okay.
Hold on, wait a second.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask that those 3 photographs be published in succession.
Okay.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could first have, I believe it's 2596. So what's up on the screen, is that what you have before you? I believe it should be exhibit 71, probably?
Yes, that's the same.
And again, just for the record, you recognize what's up on the screen now?
Yes, I do.
Now, before I get into the photograph, there is one other question that I need to ask. As far as, with respect to the sort of tenor and demeanor of that evening, how would you describe sort of, from when your friends were there to the time that the folks came back from the waterfall, how was sort of the mood within the house?
So what is the
Cheerful,
house
fun.
always?
Everyone was having a great time.
I mean,
Any
it's
fights, any arguing, any tension, anything else that you noted No, with regard to that.
No, not at all.
And I believe, sir, there should be a laser pointer on the desk in front of you. Just push the button on top.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question about it with respect to fictions.
Okay.
Now, with regard to the front area of your house,
Mhm.
at 34 Fairview Road, when you live there, there's basically two doors on the front of the house, correct?
Yes.
And if you could just use that laser pointer to direct the jury's attention to where in the photograph you observe each of those two.
Okay. So this would be the first door right here, and this is the second door.
And the first door is sort of further away from the driveway. Is that sort of the front door area of the home?
Yes, that's the front door.
And the other door, where does that lead?
The side door leads just right into the family room.
And as far as around this time, January, on this evening, if you recall, where were people sort of coming in and going out of their house?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you specifically. I think some people use both doors.
And what we're calling sort of the front door area, actually, I'm sorry, that's sort of one closer to the garage leads in the living room, is that correct?
Yes.
And so the front door further away from the garage, where does that mean?
That's like a foyer area, and then if you take a right, it leads you to the dining room, kitchen, and then you keep going into the family room.
Now, if you don't take a right and go into the kitchen and the dining room, and that's sort of in the family room, you sort of go straight, where does that lead?
Well, you can't really go straight. If you walk in a little ways to the left, there's a set of stairs that go upstairs, and you can go straight a little bit, and then to your left again, the stairs that go downstairs into the basement.
Now, in addition to you, your mother, your father, did around the time of January 2022, did you have a pet as well?
Yeah, we had a dog, Chloe.
A dog named Chloe?
Yes.
But how long at that point have you had Chloe?
We had her for a few years. I don't know exactly how many years, but a few years.
Now, on that night, specifically of January 28th leading into the 29th, did you do anything as far as letting Chloe out to use the bathroom or anything like that?
Yeah, so the dog was actually upstairs in my parents' bedroom. She likes to sleep up there and stay up there. So she was upstairs when my friends were downstairs. And at one point, after my dad came home, it was asked if someone let the dog out. And I said, sorry, I forgot, because it was my responsibility, because I was the only one home. So he went upstairs to get the dog, got the dog, brought her downstairs, let her outside.
And so when someone would let Chloe outside around this time, so can you describe that process as far as would be a leash or just let her out, or how would that?
Yeah, so we had a fenced-in backyard. So we just kind of let her through the back door and open the door, and she was able to run around out back.
Whoever let her out, would they typically sort of stay at the back door while she's out?
Yeah, we stay around the kitchen area, yeah.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photo up on screen, 2593. So the next exhibit would be number 72. What's up on the screen? Is that what you have for you, sir?
Yes.
Now, if you could, with regard to this photograph, you were mentioning something about a flagpole in the area of your front yard, is that correct?
Yeah.
Using that laser pointer, you could direct your attention where that is.
Right here.
Now, with respect to this photograph that's up on the screen right now, this Nagel's brother Ryan, where was, if you could direct your attention to where was about to observe that?
He would have been more this way. So the photo doesn't show you all, but he would have been more in front of the driveway over here.
And that first time that you looked out the window, where was the dark SUV?
I believe that was right around the mailbox area, right about right here.
And then again, if you could direct your attention to the second time that you looked out and the SUV had moved, where had it moved?
It was more down this way on the side of the road.
Now, if you could, as far as the windows that you're talking about in the kitchen area that you were looking out at, you see those in the photograph as well?
Yes, I do.
If you could direct your attention to where you see those.
Those are about right. Those two right there.
Still don't matter.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have
Still
the
don't
last photograph in that
matter.
set. And then what's up on screen, so that you have for you now is 73.
Yes.
And again, this is another photograph of the front area of your home, taken around time January 2020, correct?
Yes.
And as far as the flagpole in this particular area, that's off the sort of the left center of the screen, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, in between the time that you saw that dark SUV that you didn't really recognize, in the area of the mailbox and then further down, you see at any other points moving along?
No, I just caught it as it had already moved. By the time I looked out the window, I noticed that it had moved up.
And facing the same direction, is that correct?
Yes.
Same passenger side door that was facing your house?
Yeah.
And as far as the dark SUV was concerned, at any point in time did you look out and not see the dark SUV?
No, I didn't look out the window again.
So the rest of the evening, you didn't look out?
No.
Now, in reference to the time that expired, between the time that you saw it in the area mailbox and the time that you saw it over by the flagpole, do you have any idea how long period of time that was?
I would say probably within a couple minutes. It wasn't a long period of time that I looked out the window.
And as far as you know, your friend Julie, who had gone out to the pickup truck to talk to her brother Ryan, was she still outside around the time that you looked out the second time?
She could have been. I'm not sure if she was at that point, but she could have been.
And Ms. Gilman, you can take that. I have just one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
You just ask just a couple of questions.
Okay.
With regard to that morning when you woke up, your father was at your door?
Yes.
As far as from what you could see of his person, what, if any, injuries or anything did you observe on his person at that time?
On my father? Nothing.
Now, at that time, January 28th and January 29th, 2022, did you know anybody by the name John O'Keefe?
I knew of the name, but I didn't know him personally, no.
And when you say you
But
know
those
the name, or you
pictures
know
were
offhand, how did you know?
those pictures were probably taken like a couple of days after, but still, like, okay, the most it got was like 1.5 to 2 feet. Like, they don't know a motherfucking blizzard. A blizzard is like fucking when you walk outside and the snow is all the way up to your fucking waist and shit. That's a blizzard. I mean, us that live in snow, we know what a blizzard is. Come on. So I don't know how they could pull the wool over people's eyes that live in Massachusetts is beyond me.
I knew he was friendly with my auntie Jen McCabe, and his niece was friendly with my cousin Jen.
Oh, but now, Kevin, now these motherfuckers are going to bring in that the ground was hard. It just barely started motherfucking snowing. Anybody who knows about snowstorms and shit, it doesn't start get freezing until snow is fallen and it's accumulated for fucking a long period of time. But now they're gonna bring that in, saying he cracked his head on the hard ground. How the fuck you know it was hard? Did somebody take samples? Do you have other than a weather guy? Weather guys don't know about fucking hardness of ground. Neurologists don't know about hardness of ground. Yeah, I could understand if he hit his head on the fucking asphalt or something. You know what I'm saying? But fucking come on. Like, that's the extent that they're going to try to prove that she did it. Like, it don't make no fucking sense. Like, if you have a case, you don't have to go above and beyond. You know what I mean? And all this, like, extra testimony from different people, like, they're trying to overly prosecute their case. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just don't make no sense, because when you can watch a legit freaking case where, they have evidence and all that stuff, they don't need 20 million officers. They may bring 1 or 2 on, the detectives, stuff like that, but they don't all these different witnesses and shit, like, because they know most of the time witnesses are going to tell different versions of the story, because they don't see things they only see it from their point of view, not somebody else's, so it's not going to automatically match up. Like, there's going to be different sides of the story. It's just, this case is beyond me. It's beyond me.
And as far as your cousins, as far as Ms. McCabe's daughters, what any sort of relationship did you have with them, specific to them, beyond sort of your other cousins?
Oh yeah, so for a while, I think when I was in college or maybe the end of high school, I would help out because there was 4 girls, so they always had like multiple sports going on and stuff. So I would drive them to and from practices or be there after school if JJ had to be somewhere. So I spent a good amount of time with them and basically babysitting, but more just driving around and stuff like that.
And through them, is that how you came to know Mr. O'Keefe's niece, Kaylee?
Yes.
And you gave her rides to places as well?
Yeah, occasionally when she would come back to the house after school, I'd drive her to CCD or whatever.
And had you ever met, to your recollection, John O'Keefe or anybody by the name of Karen Reed prior to January 28th?
John O'Keefe, no. I mean, he could have came into the house once when I was there at my aunt JJ's house, and we could have said hi, but I don't remember formally meeting him, and I never met Karen Reed either.
And on that evening, again, January 28th, or the early morning of January 29th, beyond the people that you've already talked about, specifically John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, did either of them at any point in time come inside your house while you were there that evening?
No, never.
Nothing further.
Why is she breathing heavy? I never noticed that.
Yeah, we do. I don't know if I'm going to be the best speller, but I'll try. All right. I think that's good. The first one's correct. You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Ms. Little. Thank you. Mr. Albert, the first time you ever spoke with anyone from the Massachusetts State Police, the Kim Police Department, or the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office was on July 6, 2023, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
That's a full 18 months after Mr. O'Keefe's death, correct?
Yes.
Who was present for that?
I spoke with
let
two
me
troopers, I believe,
down.
in my
was right in. Hold on.
Trooper Proctor was there?
yes.
And this interview actually took place at your family's defense attorney's office, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
This interview took place at your attorney's office, correct?
Yes.
You have an
Mr.
attorney
Albert was also
too?
present, correct?
She was there for some time, but she wasn't when I was interviewing. She wasn't in the room with me. No.
And that was also the first time they had spoken with your sister as well about these events, correct?
Objection.
And to be clear, the Massachusetts State Police only interviewed you after you were called to testify before a grand jury
Objection.
separate proceeding, correct?
Objections.
I want to direct your attention to your testimony regarding your cousin, Colin Albert. You testified today that Colin Albert called you to come to the house, correct?
I believe so. He did. Yeah.
Do you recall some prior testimony in which you said that you all had exchanged Snapchats about what you were doing that night in the house?
No, I don't believe I said that. I said for him to know that I was at the house, he could have seen a Snapchat that I had sent, but he didn't ask me on Snapchat if he can come over. I said more of that he had could have seen a Snapchat saying that we were at my house. That's how he knew, because I didn't know how he knew that we were there.
You and your cousins frequently communicate on Snapchat, correct?
Occasionally here and there.
You actually have a cousin group chat on Snapchat, don't you?
Yeah, we do. An Albert cousin group chat.
Who else is on that Snapchat?
There's all my cousins, a lot of us, a good amount of my cousins.
Would that include you?
Yep.
Colin Albert?
Yep.
Allie McCabe?
No, she's not an Albert.
Do you have a group chat in which Allie McCabe is a member?
I believe we have a cousins on my mom's side group chat, yes. But she wouldn't be in that group chat with Colin, no.
Understood. And do you still have any of the messages you exchanged with your cousin on January 28th?
I don't know. Can you rephrase the question?
Do you have any of those Snapchat messages or other messages that you exchanged with your cousin Colin Albert on January 28th?
No, I'm not even sure if there was any messages. Not to my knowledge, I don't know.
God, I love the defense. They just go right in. They don't fucking play around. I'm getting a little nervous there, buddy.
Mr. Albert, you testified that Colin arrived around 10:45 or 11 p.m., correct?
Today? I said that? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who else was at the house when the clock struck sort of midnight as it became your birthday?
When it hit my birthday, it was just Colin, Julie, Nagel, and Sarah Levinson.
Was there any sort of celebration for your birthday when the clock struck midnight?
No.
What were you guys doing?
We were just sitting there. Probably happy birthdays were exchanged, but it was nothing crazy. I'm not a big birthday person like that.
And where in the house were you guys at that point?
In the dining room area.
You testified that your parents and Brian Higgins arrived shortly after midnight with your sister, correct?
Yeah, I believe I said around 12:05, 12:10 in that area.
Describe what happened when they came into the house that night.
They all just walked in the door, and at that point, my cousin Colin was standing up to leave. They passed each other, said hi, and that was it.
Mr. Albert, you never actually observed Colin leave in a vehicle from 34 Fairview, correct?
No, I didn't see it with my eyes, no.
In fact, you said you only looked out the window 2 times that night, correct?
Yes, that's true.
He's popping, baby, in that light.
Approximately what time did your dad go upstairs to get Chloe to take her out?
Well, that would have been like as soon as he got home, so around like a little after 12.
So would that have been before or after Colin sort of walked towards the door?
Colin had already left at that point.
Where did your dad go?
He went upstairs into his bedroom where Chloe was there, brought her downstairs and went to the back door and let her out.
And you were asked by Mr. Lally if your father kind of stands by the door and waits for Chloe before he lets her in.
Yeah.
But you testified that he was just generally in the kitchen area, correct?
Yeah, the kitchen is by the back door.
But he's not standing by the door waiting for her. She's an off-leash dog. She can go out, do her business, and you can open the door sometime later, correct?
Objection.
Can you answer that? Is that correct?
Could you say it again, please?
Your father wasn't standing by the door staring at Chloe the entire time she was outside, correct?
No, I wouldn't. Not the whole time, no.
You testified earlier that Julie Nagel went outside to speak with her brother to indicate that she no longer needed a ride. Do you recall that testimony?
I'm not sure if I said that exactly, but yeah.
Can you describe sort of what you saw the first time you looked out the window?
I just saw a little in front of the driveway a little bit. I saw a truck. I saw my friend Julie at the passenger door. I suppose talking to the people in the truck. And a little ways up, I saw another dark SUV that I wasn't aware of.
And so you agree that there was nothing obstructing the view between the truck and the dark SUV, correct?
Well, not from my vantage point, no.
And the second time you looked out the window, the only difference you saw was that Ms. Reed's vehicle had pulled up, correct?
Well, I didn't know it was Miss Reed's vehicle, but the car that was there had moved up. Yes.
And the truck was no longer there, correct?
The second time I looked out the window, that I'm not sure of.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your testimony
Sure.
from July 6, 2020, or sorry, May 18, 2023? May I put try?
Yes. So show Mr. Lally.
You can just look at this.
Okay.
Okay, after this, I'm gonna
You
finish.
can look up when your recollection is refreshed.
Okay. Yep.
Does that refresh your
I'm
recollection? as to
gonna
what you
finish
testified
the
to?
rest of
Sure, yes.
On May
this
18,
tomorrow
2023?
Yes.
because it's only like a 3-hour stream for tomorrow for day 11. So I'm gonna finish day 10, or well, we'll go into Caitlin Albert's testimony and stuff. So when this is over, I'm gonna end.
Isn't it true that you said that the
And
second
then
time you
we'll
looked out, you
finish.
saw that there
We'll
was a
start
bike SUV that
Caitlin
pulled forward,
Albert's
Yes.
but the
testimony,
truck was no longer there?
which is the
Sure. It
homeowner's
seems like I said that
daughter
then. Yes.
testimony.
You
fresh
also testified
tomorrow.
earlier that you saw tire tracks in the snow, correct?
Yep.
Where were those tracks?
Just along the side towards the driveway along this way, going up towards the flagpole.
And you view those tracks kind of leading up towards the flagpole, correct?
Yes.
So you'd agree that the visibility and lighting in front of the house was good enough that you were able to see tire tracks in the snow,
Sure.
but you did not see a 220-pound man lying in the snow in your front yard.
Objection.
Boom!
You saw, sir?
No, I didn't see that.
Boom!
Who was in the house the second time that you looked out the window?
It would have been my mom, my dad, Brian Higgins, my sister, Julie, Sarah, Uncle Matt.
Mr. Albert, you testified on May 18, 2023
Mhm.
in another grand jury,
Mhm.
and you said, quote, "I'm not sure if Brian Higgins is still there. I know he left at some point." Do you recall that testimony?
I mean, I know he left my house at some point. I just don't know exactly when it was.
You were asked specifically at the time that you looked out the window who was there, and you said, "I'm not sure if Brian Higgins was there."
Yeah.
Isn't that correct?
Okay, if I said that, yes, because I was not sure. I'm still not sure that if he was there or not.
So you're not sure whether Brian Higgins was there when you looked out the window, correct?
It's
No,
either yes or no.
I'm not sure.
You have no independent recollection as you sit here today where Mr. Higgins was when you looked out the window, correct?
No.
You also didn't recall Mr. Higgins ever saying goodbye to you or your group, correct?
I believe that's true. Yeah.
In fact, you actually testified before another grand jury on May 18, 2023, that at some point Mr. Higgins just wasn't there anymore. I must have gone to the bathroom or something. I came back and I said, "Where did Higgins go?" And they said he left, correct?
Sure. Yes.
You also testified before that grand jury.
Objection, Your Honor.
So, yeah, I'm going to see your typewriter. If you could bring that, please.
Oh my God, the sidebar shit. But you shouldn't be allowed to have like smart watch, what stuff there.
When did your father leave in relation to Brian Higgins?
Leave? You mean like go upstairs, go to bed, or?
Leave your view.
He would have left after Brian Higgins had gone.
Mr. Albert, isn't it true that you weren't quite so sure about that when you testified on May 18, 2023?
I don't know. You would have to show me.
Do you have a specific recollection of your father leaving after Mr. Higgins was gone?
Yep, I'm pretty sure he went upstairs after Brian Higgins left.
Mr. Albert, I'd like to show you. May I press your hand? Yes.
Right here? Okay, all right. Mm-hmm.
Mr. Albert, isn't it true that you told the grand jury, "I'm pretty sure Mr. Higgins left first before my dad went upstairs, because he wouldn't have left if his friend was still there"?
Yes, I just said that here as well.
You don't have any specific recollection as you sit here today where your father was or where Mr. Higgins was when you looked out the window that night.
No,
correct?
no, that's not true. I know that my father was in the room with us. I'm saying I don't know. I'm saying I don't know when Brian Higgins left the house. And when Brian Higgins left the house, then my father went upstairs into his bedroom.
But what you actually said was, quote, "I'm pretty sure Mr. Higgins left first before my dad went upstairs because he wouldn't have left if his friend was still there." Correct?
I see what you're saying. Yes, but I still say that my dad wouldn't have went upstairs until Brian Higgins left the house.
Right. And that's based on an assumption, correct?
Sure. Yeah.
Because you weren't interviewed about this case until 18 months later, correct?
Yeah.
You did not personally observe your father go upstairs, correct?
No, I did. I watched him go up the stairs. I was standing by the. I was in the kitchen. You can see the stairs right there.
Your testimony is you can see individuals walk upstairs in your house.
Depending on. Yes, the dining room. From the dining room, I meant.
There's actually a wall that kind of blocks the dining room, the stairs.
Not if you're sitting at the 2 chairs with your back to the windows. If I was sitting in the long chair right here, the stairs would be right here. I could easily see through the doorway.
But as you sit here today, you
I
don't know
just
what time
heard you.
it
That's
happened,
why.
No, I don't know the time. No.
Oh, it's hot.
Mr. Robert, I'd like to direct your attention to the morning of January 29th.
Sure.
Can you describe sort of how you woke up that morning?
My dad just knocked on my door, and I woke up and opened the door.
You didn't hear any dog barking?
No.
You didn't see any emergency vehicles?
No.
Didn't hear any ambulances?
No.
Didn't hear any screaming outside?
No.
What did you do once you woke up?
I went downstairs.
Did you ever look out the window?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at your grand jury testimony?
Sure. Sure. Thank you.
Caught in the trap. Now I need to see my steps.
Slide take to 12.
Okay.
Is your recollection refreshed?
Sure. Yeah.
Why didn't you look out the window that morning? Is
Well, I say here that I just would give me anxiety to look out the window.
there a reason that you didn't want to look outside?
I'm just an anxious person, and I got overwhelmed. I think most people would be overwhelmed in that situation.
Did you say that this was kind of a new thing for you, for cops and police to be at the house?
Yeah, that's never happened before. I've never had cops at or be in my house.
And it made you overwhelmed, correct?
Yeah, I get overwhelmed easy. So
Mr. Albert, how many times did you discuss the case with members of your family before you spoke to the Massachusetts State Police on May 18, 2023?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know how many times.
Hundreds?
We talked about it pretty decent. I mean, considering, yeah.
What members of your family have you discussed this case with?
My parents, my sister, occasionally my aunt, JJ, and Uncle Matt.
But you said that hundreds of conversations.
Well, I guess you can, I mean, you have to split it up and quantify what conversations were about the actual case and what conversations have been the harassment we faced since then.
And all of these discussions took place with you and members of your family prior to your interview with the Massachusetts State Police, correct?
And no, we've talked since
You
then.
need to speak with them about this case
Not,
since your interview.
I don't know what you mean by this case. This case meaning the actual case at hand, or just the case about the harassment we faced?
I'm talking about what happened on January 28th and January 29th.
But there's really nothing to talk about those specifics, no, because we have nothing to say about that. We weren't part of it.
Mr. Albert, you looked out the window multiple times on January 29th, correct?
Twice, I think I said.
You never heard any sort of commotion outside?
No.
You never heard screaming, yelling, or the screech of brakes in the front yard?
No.
Which
You
is
never
crazy.
saw a 220-pound man in dark clothes and the white snow on your front lawn?
No.
But you did see those times.
I
Crazy.
did.
No further questions.
Mr. Lally?
No redirect, Your Honor.
No redirect. All set?
Hi, Mr. Lally,
All
you're
right.
all set, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's the end of his testimony. The daughter comes on, but I'm going to end it tonight. Thank you for everybody that joined me. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, I'll be back tomorrow to finish the hour-long testimony of this case and day 11. Day 11, I believe we get to witness Colin Albert on the stand. I appreciate everybody that came by, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that great stuff. I'm on the road to 1K. Your support means the world to me. I'm an introvert that loves justice. Real justice, not bullshit justice. I believe, I believe that, that this world's crazy. Anyways, like I end it every night. Tell the ones that you love and care about that you love and care about them, because tomorrow is never promised. And remember to watch your surroundings, because this could be you, it could be me, it could be anybody. Nobody needs to be falsely accused of anything. Again, I appreciate all the support, and I hope everybody has a blessed night, and stay blessed. Bye.